Hérard's government, though originally celebrated for removing Boyer, failed to resolve Haiti's problems. The Piquet's rebellion continued intensifying. Haiti was militarily stretched thin, economically unstable, and socially divided. Peasant armies in the Haitian countryside fought elite forces, creating a near civil war scenario. Hérard struggled to hold Haiti together and began to suspect that the Dominican East would soon escape his political grasp. Sensing danger, he attempted to assert authority by ordering increased surveillance and new demands on Dominican towns. He also began replacing some Haitian officers who appeared sympathetic to Dominicans with more loyal officials. But these defensive measures were doomed because Haiti no longer possessed the resources or unity required to enforce control. Haitian soldiers, hungry, angry, and homesick, lost motivation. Many were afraid to travel between Dominican towns. Some even disappeared into Dominican rural life, abandoning the military entirely. Dominican revolutionaries recognized that the Haitian occupation's final strength did not lie in force, but inertia. Haiti remained in power because no one had yet openly declared its rule illegitimate. Once the first public declaration occurred, the occupation might collapse instantly. Dominican patriot leadership, therefore, concluded the weapon that would break Haiti was not the sword, but the word. Independence had to be proclaimed loudly, publicly, and irrevocably. In these final weeks leading to independence, the Dominican Revolutionary Plan entered its sharpest stage. La Trinitaria, La Philantropica, and La Dramatica collectively formed a cultural, military, and psychological trinity of resistance. Their alliances extended not only to educated elites, but to cattle ranchers, agricultural workers, muleteers, fishermen, artisans, and even some Haitian-born residents who opposed Hérard's policies. The strategy involved three primary steps. First, seize Santo Domingo City as a symbolic independent capital. Second, ensure Dominican forces controlled key communication routes to northern and southern towns. And third, spread the declaration instantly across the entire territory before Haitian reinforcements could arrive. But the movement faced enormous internal danger. Political conflict inside the independence camp itself. Domingo de la Rocha, Tomás Bobadilla, and other conservative leaders felt Sánchez and Duarte were too idealistic. They wanted independence through negotiation rather than confrontation. They believed diplomacy with Haiti or foreign protectorates would preserve Dominican safety more effectively than an armed uprising. These men did not trust mass-based revolution, fearing Haiti would annihilate the population in retaliation. To weaken Sánchez and Duarte, conservative elites formed the Junta Central Gubernativa, an early government board intended to control revolutionary decisions. The group included annexationists, monarchists, and opportunists who saw independence as a way to gain political power. While they promised cooperation with Sánchez, they secretly hoped Duarte's influence would fade. Dominican independence did not emerge from a united political class. It formed through uneasy alliances that later fractured, proving the complexity of nation-building. Despite these internal divisions, Duarte's vision remained the emotional center of the revolution. Even in exile, his words circulated through Dominican towns, inspiring courage. Duarte famously wrote that the foundation of the Dominican Republic must be a government for all, justice for all, and dignity for all. His insistence on racial unity was particularly revolutionary. Duarte feared the Dominican Republic might collapse into racial hierarchy like Haiti's internal divisions. He argued that Dominicans, black, white, mulatto, and mixed, must share equal citizenship. As independence approached, Dominican patriots faced profound personal risks. Haitian retaliation could mean mass executions, burning of villages, forced deportations, or permanent imprisonment. Everyone involved in the independence project accepted the possibility of death. That acceptance created a psychological turning point. When a people decide that death is better than obedience, revolutions become unstoppable. The final trigger came unexpectedly. Haiti demanded a large conscription quota from the Dominican territory. dozens of young Dominican men were ordered to enlist and fight in Haiti's civil conflicts. This Haitian command became the last straw. Patriotic leaders argued that if Dominicans obeyed, Haiti would drain their population and end the independence project. Dominican families panicked, believing their sons would die for Haiti while the Dominican homeland remained enslaved. Meanwhile, Haitian officials prepared to arrest Sánchez, Mella, and other Trinitarios if they acted publicly. Haiti knew independence was close, and Herard ordered troop movements towards Santo Domingo. Dominican revolutionaries realized the window for action was closing. If they waited longer, Haiti might suppress the movement before independence could be proclaimed. Duarte's letters warned, strike now or lose forever. Thus, independence would not be gradual. It would explode in a single night, a night that changed the destiny of the Dominican people forever. The final preparations for independence unfolded with breathtaking intensity. Dominican patriots selected February 27, 1844 as the date for public revolution, symbolic, spiritual, and decisive. The timing aligned with Haitian disarray, Dominican readiness, and the psychological need to seize a new national beginning before Haiti reorganized. The night before independence, Santo Domingo burned with secret movement. Armed men gathered in homes across the city. Horses were tied behind buildings, muskets hidden beneath cloaks, daggers strapped under shirts. Dominican women cooked nighttime meals for nervous fighters. Windows glowed with candlelight. Priests offered whispered blessings in Spanish, Latin, and Creole. People prayed, wept, and waited. Key figures took their positions. Ramon Matias Mella organized the Western Gate and prepared the iconic cannon shot. Francisco del Rosario Sánchez stood ready to proclaim independence verbally. Other Trinitarios secured vital corners of the capital, the port, barracks, and communication lines. No moment in Haitian occupation history had ever created such electric, quiet tension. Dominican rebels knew that Haitian soldiers stationed in the capital were not necessarily loyal to Herard. They were weary, traumatized, and isolated. Some Haitian officers refused to fight Dominicans, believing the occupation had already morally ended. As midnight approached, Sánchez gathered his men near the Puerta del Conde. With him stood farmers with machetes, students with pistols, merchants with hunting rifles, and fishermen holding knives. These were not professional soldiers. They were citizens defending identity. The symbolic unity of classes reflected Duarte's philosophy. The republic must be built by everyone, not just elites. Then, at the decisive hour, Mella lit the fuse. The cannon roared into the Caribbean night sky, shattering silence across Santo Domingo. That thunderous blast was not simply a military signal. It was an explosion of history. Houses trembled, dogs barked, church bells rang. People awoke, believing the impossible. The occupation was over. Sánchez stepped forward and declared publicly, "We are free today." He raised the first Dominican flag, blue, red, and white, designed using Duarte's concept of cross and national colors. The crowd erupted. Civilians wept, shouted, embraced, and sang prayers. Bells rang continuously through the capital. Haitian soldiers inside the city, shocked by the coordination, retreated in confusion rather than attack. Within hours, Dominican militias controlled Santo Domingo, seized guard towers, disarmed sentries, and took the main plaza. News traveled rapidly across the territory by horseback, torch fire, and church signal bells. The Dominican Republic had been born, yet the story was far from over. Haiti had not surrendered voluntarily. Haitian commanders remained in the territory, and Herard still intended to retake the eastern side by force. The first Dominican government had to form immediately to resist invasion. The Junta Central Gubernativa assumed control the same night, without Duarte present. Their leadership preserved internal order, but their political orientation was conservative and often hostile to Duarte's ideals. Dominican independence began with unity on the streets, but division in government corridors. What happened next would shape Dominican destiny. Haitian counterinvasion, internal Dominican betrayal, Duarte's attempted return, Sánchez and Mella defending the new republic, and Haiti's refusal to accept the loss of the East. When the cannon echoed across Santo Domingo on the night of February 27th, 1844, announcing the birth of the Dominican Republic, the world did not suddenly shift into peaceful alignment. Independence did not begin with celebration alone. It began with uncertainty, danger, and the fear of immediate annihilation. Haitians were shocked, Dominicans were electrified, and every street, every house, and every border road trembled with the knowledge that war could arrive at any moment. For the Dominican people, the early days following independence were filled with an overwhelming mix of triumph and terror. The occupation that had lasted 22 years had ended in one night, but the consequences of that end were enormous. Welcome to History Teller YT, where hidden stories of our world finally get the voice they deserve. Today, we are traveling deep into one of the most dramatic, emotional, and rarely told chapters in Caribbean history. A story of two nations sharing one island, shaped by conflict, courage, betrayal, revolution, and rebirth. This is the unbelievable, real history of the Haitian occupation of the Dominican Republic, 1822 to 1844, and everything that followed. It is not just a political timeline. It is a human journey full of cultural transformation, identity formation, border wars, dictatorship, freedom movements, foreign invasions, national rebirth, and two countries trying to survive side by side. In this story, you will hear about Haiti's revolutionary rise from slavery to empire, why Haiti occupied the eastern side of Hispaniola, how Dominicans struggled, resisted, and dreamed of independence, the birth of Dominican nationalism, brutal wars, heroic battles, lost leaders, and forgotten voices, Spain returning, annexation happening, and rebellion roaring back, and how everything between 1822 and 1865 forever shaped modern identity, borders, culture, pride, and politics on this island. Once you begin this story, you'll realize this is not just about Haiti or the Dominican Republic. This is about how nations are created through fire, how identity survives oppression, and how history never forgets its scars. So sit back and open your mind, because what you are about to hear will change how you see the Caribbean forever. This is the complete 2-hour journey. The story of two nations, one island. The Haitian occupation and aftermath. Let's begin. Welcome to History Teller YT. Long before Haiti and the Dominican Republic emerged as independent nation-states sharing the island of Hispaniola, the land possessed a layered history shaped by geography, indigenous culture, European colonization, African resistance, and brutal economic systems that forged distinct identities on two halves of the same physical space. The island was originally inhabited by the Taino people, who called it Quisqueya, and lived in organized communities governed by caciques. Their agricultural lifestyle, spiritual systems, and social networks were considerably advanced, but the arrival of Christopher Columbus in 1492 initiated a period of destruction, forced labor, disease, and demographic collapse. Within decades, the indigenous population was devastated, and Spanish colonial authority took root, especially on the eastern part of the island, where future Dominican identity later emerged. The western part of the island, sparsely populated by Spanish settlers, eventually attracted French buccaneers, leading to the Treaty of Ryswick in 1697, which formally divided the island between Spain and France. This division proved monumental. The French colony of Saint-Domingue grew into the world's richest plantation economy, producing vast sugar and coffee exports through a slave labor system that was violently intense. Meanwhile, the Spanish colony, known as Santo Domingo, remained economically weaker and far less populated. The Haitian Revolution, beginning in 1791, changed world history. Enslaved Africans defeated European armies and dismantled plantation slavery, creating the first Black Republic in 1804. Santo Domingo experienced shifting control during this time. French, Haitian, Spanish, until independence was declared in 1821 by José Núñez de Cáceres, who envisioned a state connected to Colombia rather than Haiti. However, political instability and fear of Spanish return created conditions that enabled Haitian President Jean-Pierre Boyer to unite the island under Haitian rule. These early decades reveal why Haiti sought unification: security, abolitionism, strategic control, and the desire to protect freedom from European threats. To understand why the Haitian occupation began in 1822, one must examine political anxieties shaping both societies. Haiti, newly independent yet threatened by foreign powers, faced the constant danger of a French military reconquest. European governments refused to recognize Haiti's legitimacy for decades, isolating the nation diplomatically. France demanded compensation for lost slave plantation wealth, and Haiti feared that any European return to eastern Hispaniola could serve as a staging ground for invasion. Boyer believed that unifying the island would seal its borders and prevent hostile influence. On the Dominican side, Eastern Hispaniola was in a fragile state between 1821 and 1822. The independent experiment led by Núñez de Cáceres was ideologically attractive to elites, but lacked military strength, popular support, and international allies. The new leaders attempted to separate from Spain, yet had no meaningful defense structure or functioning economy to sustain sovereignty. Dominican society suffered from poverty after centuries of neglect by the Spanish crown, and its population was small, approximately 130,000 people compared to Haiti's 700,000. Internal class divisions, racial dynamics, and regional rivalries further weakened Dominican unity. Some elites supported annexation to Gran Colombia. Others secretly wished to return to Spain, and rural citizens had little knowledge of the Independence Declaration at all. When Haitian forces crossed the border in early 1822, they encountered minimal armed resistance. Many eastern communities welcomed them, hoping for stability, abolition of remaining slavery practices, and land reform. This occupation was not an invasion of blind conquest. It was the product of desperation, geopolitics, and survival. Haiti saw opportunity and necessity. The East saw a temporary solution to crisis. The world rarely tells this story without bias. Haitian unification is often painted as merely oppressive, but ignoring its context erases fears of colonial return and the overwhelming legacy of slavery that shaped every decision leaders made. Thus, 1822 was a watershed moment, not only militarily but symbolically. One island, two identities, one future forced into a shared experiment. When Boyer formally proclaimed the unification of the island under Haitian authority, the act did not simply redraw political borders. It fundamentally redirected the historical trajectory of both nations. Haiti abolished slavery in the East, confirming freedom for people who had still lived under vestiges of bondage. This action aligned ideological unity. A single island free of slavery represented a powerful warning to European empires who feared emancipated black nations. Yet the occupation also brought tension. Haiti imposed military governance from Port-au-Prince, replacing existing Dominican administrative structures. French language influences, new laws, and Haiti's land redistribution policies disrupted Dominican cultural and social norms. The Haitian government required the entire island to help pay the crippling 150 million franc indemnity forced by France as the price of recognizing Haitian independence. This financial burden placed intense pressure on Eastern peasants and landowners, who found themselves funding a debt that they felt had nothing to do with them. Religious conflict deepened resentment. Haiti's independent society, heavily influenced by African traditions and Vodou spiritual systems, differed from the Dominican population, which remained Catholic and tied to Spanish cultural identity. Laws restricting the Catholic Church intensified resistance among Dominican elites. Still, it is important to avoid oversimplification. Many Dominicans supported Haitian rule. For Afro-Dominicans who had long faced racial discrimination, Haitian governance offered equality under law, freedom to own land, and escape from Eurocentric hierarchy. In contrast, some wealthy Dominican families opposed the reforms because they lost privileges land control, and economic dominance. The early occupation period remains misunderstood because it blends liberation with authoritarian administration, unity with suppression, and protection with exploitation. These contradictions shaped every moment that followed, setting the stage for cultural conflict, rebellion, and eventually independence movements led by figures like Juan Pablo Duarte. When Jean-Pierre Boyer asserted full political control over Santo Domingo in early 1822, his government faced the monumental challenge of merging two historically separate societies into one national framework. Haiti inherited an island that carried two distinct colonial pasts. France had molded Saint-Domingue into a plantation-driven economy dependent on forced African labor, while Spain had allowed Santo Domingo to evolve into a cattle-ranching frontier society built around small settlements, a mixed rural economy, and very different social hierarchies. The Haitian administration understood from the beginning that unification would require not only military presence, but an ambitious program of administrative reorganization designed to eliminate Spanish-era power structures and bring the Eastern Territories under Haitian constitutional principles. Boyer issued orders to reorganize provinces, place Haitian officials in key legal and political positions, and eliminate Spanish law codes that still shaped civil life in the East. Military districts replaced colonial municipal boards. Haitian commanders acted as civil authorities, and Dominican officers were expected to swear loyalty to Boyer. Although Dominican elites initially pledged cooperation, many did so reluctantly, viewing the new system as a threat to their inherited privileges. The Haitian Constitution granted full citizenship rights regardless of racial background, a groundbreaking legal concept within the Caribbean, but it also required that all citizens report to Port-au-Prince authority. A crucial administrative priority was land. Because plantation slavery had been abolished across the island, the Haitian government needed to redefine property ownership. Boyer's system distributed and used lands to veterans and peasant farmers, encouraging agricultural independence instead of plantation restoration. While this was celebrated by Afro-descendant farmers, Dominican ranchers and church authorities saw it differently. The Catholic Church, which had dominated landholding for centuries, lost enormous estates because Haitian law nationalized church property. With one legislative act, centuries of Spanish religious influence were dismantled. Haitian officials also introduced legal registration systems, business regulation, tax reforms, and the requirement that all citizens contribute labor to national public works. Roads and military installations were constructed and improved, especially those capable of transporting troops quickly, symbolizing Haiti's awareness that control of the East would depend on logistical efficiency. Boyer envisioned a unified island operating under a single state identity, one that rejected racism and slave-based economics, protected black freedom, and strengthened Haiti against foreign invasion. However, these legal and economic reorganizations soon produced cultural friction. Dominican elites considered Haitian laws foreign, intrusive, and disruptive to their Spanish-speaking traditions. Meanwhile, Haitian authorities often viewed Dominican resistance as evidence of old colonial loyalty. This early collision between legal philosophy and cultural identity planted seeds of discontent that would grow steadily through the occupation years. Among the most controversial elements of Boyer's rule in the East was the transformation of social hierarchy. Unlike the plantation system in Western Haiti, Dominican society before 1822 possessed a form of rural autonomy where families controlled small herds, cultivated subsistence crops, and interacted under loose local leadership. Social mobility, though limited, differed dramatically from the plantation elite model of Saint-Domingue. Once Haitian authority solidified, traditional Dominican families feared losing what little control they had. Haiti's philosophy of legal equality was interpreted by Dominican landowners not as a gift of liberation, but as political leveling that removed the privileged social distance between wealthy, Spanish-descended elites and communities of mixed heritage. Religious tension deepened the divide. Haitian laws effectively separated church and state. The government did not finance Catholic clergy and rejected papal authority over national politics. Dominican priests were suddenly placed under Haitian supervision and deprived of their traditional economic foundation. Church buildings suffered deterioration, and records that once belonged to church registries were transferred into secular institutions. For many Dominicans, the church had long symbolized cultural continuity, linking them to Spain and Spanish America. Losing that influence felt like cultural dislocation. Although Boyer believed secularization would help modernize society and ensure national unity, Dominican resistance interpreted his policies as deliberate attacks on their heritage. Economically, Haiti imposed universal taxation, which Dominican ranchers and merchants saw as unbearable. Most devastating was the use of Eastern revenues to pay the French indemnity Haiti had accepted in exchange for diplomatic recognition. France demanded 150 million francs, later reduced but still crushing. Haitians viewed the indemnity as the price of freedom. Dominicans viewed it as a foreign debt forced upon them. Dominican peasants, small farmers, and cattle herders bore the burden because government officers collected revenue aggressively to meet payment deadlines. Haitian administrators also attempted to standardize measurement systems, record-keeping, and military service. Every able-bodied man was theoretically available for the militia. Dominican families, living far from centralized authority, were not accustomed to such expectations. Many rural communities responded by maintaining passive resistance, ignoring officials, avoiding tax collection, delaying military enlistment, and retreating into isolated countryside zones where they continued cultural practices beyond Port-au-Prince's reach. Yet, despite resistance narratives, evidence shows cooperation existed. Afro-Dominican populations, particularly in border regions and rural valleys, welcomed integration. Haitian anti-slavery values resonated deeply across communities where slavery had persisted longer than official Spanish policy suggested. Some formerly enslaved Dominicans saw Haitian citizenship as authentic protection against resurgence of Spanish oppression or possible re-enslavement from foreign powers. Young Dominican intellectuals admired Haiti's independence story and its defiance of Europe. They regarded the unified island as a symbol of black freedom in the Western Hemisphere. Thus, the social landscape under occupation was not simply a tale of colonizer and victim. It was complex, diverse, and layered with competing motivations. Early Haitian governance in Santo Domingo also confronted environmental, demographic, and infrastructural challenges inherited from centuries of Spanish neglect. Eastern towns possessed limited literacy resources, inadequate public schools, failing stone roads, and an economy deeply dependent on cattle exports that fluctuated constantly. Boyer planned to stimulate the Eastern economy by encouraging agricultural settlement rather than export monoculture. Haiti's leaders believed that smallholders owning their land would create a stable rural economy capable of supplying food, animals, and labor to the entire island. But this modernization vision clashed with Dominican expectations. Many Dominicans hoped that foreign trade privileges would expand after independence from Spain. Instead, Haiti restricted foreign commercial entry because the government feared that European traders might infiltrate eastern ports and conspire with elites seeking Spanish restoration. Boyer's economic caution, though understandable from a security standpoint, slowed port development in cities like Santo Domingo, La Vega, and Santiago. The prohibition on selling land to foreigners also frustrated merchants who relied on external investment. Administratively, Haitian officials promoted French-style codes and civil procedures. Dominican courts followed Haitian legal models, replacing centuries of Spanish judicial practice. Judges, notaries, and clerks from Haiti traveled to the east to enforce standardization. Language became a cultural flashpoint. Government decrees appeared in French, while the Dominican public spoke Spanish and could not always interpret legal texts. Haiti still possessed an army far larger than anything the Dominican territory could organize quickly. Haiti also had political motivation. Losing the East meant losing agricultural land, military security buffers, national pride, and the symbolic unity of the world's first Black Republic. Haitians were not going to accept that loss without a fight. Inside the Dominican capital, the Junta Central Gobernativa, formed instantly after independence, focused on consolidating authority. Their first tasks included establishing communication networks with provincial towns, restoring public order, and building the image of a government capable of defending sovereignty. Although Duarte remained absent in Venezuela, the ideas he championed shaped the republic's earliest decisions. The protection of individual liberty, constitutional dialogue, and national dignity. Yet without Duarte's moderating presence, rival political ideologies also rushed forward. The independence leaders knew they needed two things immediately. Keycap 1, an army. Keycap 2, international legitimacy. Building an army required discipline, recruitment, and logistical speed. Sánchez and Mella mobilized militias in Cibao, the south, and the capital. Dominican men of all ages volunteered to fight. Some brought shotguns inherited from ancestors. Others carried tools forged into weapons. Blacksmiths produced bullets at night, and cattle ranchers offered horses for cavalry. But a challenge quickly became apparent. The Dominican Republic had almost no gunpowder reserves. Without gunpowder, cannons and firearms were decorative at best. That reality threatened national survival before the first battle even began. International legitimacy proved equally complicated. The United States watched events cautiously, concerned that recognition might anger Haiti or encourage European colonial involvement. Spain, stunned that its former colony had escaped Haitian rule, contemplated whether to reclaim Santo Domingo. This communication barrier increased misunderstanding. Many Dominicans believed new laws were purposely hidden or designed to confuse them, even when Haitian officials attempted bilingual explanations. The Haitian army maintained a strong presence across rural regions, building garrison posts and asserting surveillance over movement between towns. Soldiers enforced tax collection and land redistribution, which gave Dominicans the impression that the occupation was sustained through military intimidation. Haitian commanders insisted that constant vigilance was necessary to prevent Spain or France from landing troops in the east. Rumors of European invasion remained vivid for years, enhancing Haitian justification for military discipline. In spite of structural friction, cultural exchanges emerged. Intermarriage between Haitians and Dominicans increased, especially in rural municipalities, blending customs and family networks. Marketplaces saw language interchange, musical fusion, and the circulation of Haitian agricultural techniques. Although later nationalist narratives attempt to paint the occupation as absolute social separation, daily life told a different story. The process of sharing land carved connections between neighbors who gradually learned to coexist through necessity, survival, and interdependence. Still, by mid-1820s, Dominican discontent began to solidify. Complaints circulated among merchant guilds, priests, cattle owners, and political thinkers who believed that Eastern interests were subordinated to Haitian priorities. These frustrations, initially scattered, soon evolved into ideological opposition movements, silent at first, then increasingly organized. Boyer could not foresee that resentful Dominican intellectuals studying silently under his administration would eventually lead a rebellion that changed the island forever. As the occupation firmly settled into the middle of the 1820s, everyday life across the Dominican side of the island evolved in ways that were subtle, profound, and sometimes contradictory. One of the most fascinating yet overlooked dimensions of this era concerns how communities adapted socially. While the political and military structures were imposed from Haiti, the cultural and domestic worlds developed organically. Dominican towns preserved their Spanish-based customs. Catholic feast days, bullfighting remnants, guitar-driven folk gatherings, and the Spanish language all continued to thrive within private and communal spaces. Even though the Haitian government discouraged the Catholic institution on a bureaucratic level, ordinary cultural Catholicism persisted in homes, small chapels, and improvised ceremonies. Haitian soldiers and administrators spread into rural landscapes and lived among Dominican families. These interactions facilitated relationships beyond strictly political authority. In some villages, Haitian troops married or partnered with Dominican women, forming families that experienced both cooperation and tension. Their children, speaking Spanish, Creole, and sometimes French, symbolized the cultural blending that the political environment tried to standardize. Yet many Dominicans feared losing their cultural identity. Dominican elites believed their Spanish heritage represented refinement, literacy, and a civilizational link to Europe. Haitian culture, shaped through African heritage and revolutionary ideology, was viewed by some elites as culturally inferior, even though Haiti had accomplished the greatest anti-slavery victory on earth. These racialized and class-based prejudices hardened Dominican resistance. But the Haitian presence also brought new opportunities. Freedom from slavery, the distribution of land to poorer farmers, and access to the justice system created upward mobility within Dominican society. Afro-Dominicans, who had faced social marginalization under Spanish rule, found a Haitian legal system welcoming. Laws recognized no racial class, and a poor black Dominican farmer could theoretically own land and serve in administrative positions. In some regions, Haitian authorities trained locals to administer civil courts and organized small schools intended to spread literacy across the East, although resources were limited. Economically, the Dominican side struggled under the burden of Haiti's national indemnity. Taxes collected on cattle, tobacco, and basic goods funded the French debt payments. Because the Dominican economy had long depended on exporting cattle to nearby islands in Spanish America, the strict control of foreign trade led to reduced profits for merchants and ranchers. As losses accumulated, tension increased. Dominican merchants often blamed Haiti for financial hardship, accusing Haitian officials of ignoring local needs. Still, Haitian leaders argued that unity required sacrifice, and the entire island had to contribute to protecting the revolution. These opposing perceptions created a dynamic where Haitian rule simultaneously guaranteed freedoms and imposed costs. It offered cultural exchange and legal equality, yet challenged established traditions. Dominican society became a place of dual realities. Public resistance mixed with private adaptation, cultural preservation intertwined with quiet transformation, and resentment competing against gratitude for emancipation. Life under occupation was not simply oppressive nor completely harmonious. It was historically layered, economically strained, socially blended, and deeply human at every level. The rural communities of the Dominican interior offer another revealing perspective on daily life during occupation. Unlike coastal merchants and urban elites who interacted directly with Haitian officials, interior populations lived a considerable distance from administrative centers. These areas included mountain villages such as San Jose de los Matas, fertile valleys near La Vega, grazing zones toward Monte Plata, and border farmlands near Hinch. In these isolated environments, the presence of Haitian authority was felt more loosely. The Haitian army patrolled roads and enforced taxes, but rural Dominicans maintained much of their traditional lifestyle. Long cattle drives, communal land use agreements, reliance on oral tradition rather than written law, and homegrown justice practices led by respected local elders. For these communities, the Haitian mandate requiring compulsory labor on public works projects had mixed effects. Roads improved noticeably, linking villages with larger cities more effectively than under centuries of Spanish rule. Travel that once required days suddenly required hours on new or restored routes. Yet forced labor drew criticism. Men obligated to maintain infrastructure believed their personal fields suffered, and some considered the work a form of disguised slavery. Haitian officials countered that without conscripted labor, the East would never modernize. Education presented another dual dynamic. Boyer's administration attempted to introduce French literacy programs, but with Dominican language preference and limited teaching staff, success was minimal. Dominican children often learned Haitian marching songs or civic slogans, yet returned home to Spanish lullabies, prayer recitation, and stories rooted in Spanish-American history. These cultural contradictions produced generations who grew up understanding life under two identities: Haitian nationalist ideology taught publicly, Dominican cultural worldview taught privately. Religious practice intensified identity reinforcement. With limited official Catholic clerical presence, Dominican families built altars inside homes, relying on oral prayers to sustain their spiritual routines. Weddings, baptisms, and funerals often occurred without formal priests. Yet, Haitian-led secular courts recognized these ceremonies as legally valid, demonstrating that Haitian governance did not seek to erase family structures. It aimed to weaken institutional church dominance, not domestic faith itself. Economically, rural Dominicans appreciated the land redistribution program far more than elites did. Many families that had previously lived as tenant laborers on church or elite ranch lands received formal ownership. This transformation created emotional loyalty among some peasants toward Haiti, even if they never fully identified as Haitian citizens. For the first time, they could legally prove ownership of the earth they worked. Still, tensions simmered. Smuggling along the Spanish-speaking border increased as Dominican traders sought to escape Haitian export restrictions. Small cattle drovers crossed into Puerto Rico and Cuba illegally to bypass taxes. Haitian soldiers patrolling these routes clashed with smugglers, generating violence and resentment. These confrontations fed Dominican narratives that depicted Haitian rule as unfair, even when the conflict stemmed from economic evasions rather than political persecution. Daily Dominican life under occupation must therefore be imagined not in simplistic images of chains or terror, but as small negotiations, shifting identity boundaries and routine adjustments. People woke, worked their fields, cooked meals, and raised children under a government they did not choose. Their lives continued, shaped not only by grand political forces, but by family responsibility, environmental challenge, and cultural endurance. Urban Dominican regions developed differently from the countryside. Cities like Santo Domingo, Santiago, Puerto Plata, and Azua became centers of intellectual conversation, trade activity, political rumor, and early nationalist sentiment. These communities contained literate elites, teachers, merchants, lawyers, and minor bureaucrats who observed the Haitian government closely. They read Haitian decrees, debated their meaning, and discussed European politics over coffee in public plazas. Intellectual Dominican youth living under the occupation era would later become leaders of the national independence movement. One crucial cultural shift occurred inside Santo Domingo's social institutions. Newspapers and pamphlets appeared, some written by Dominicans who supported Haitian unity, others criticizing government policies subtly so as not to provoke punishment. These writings circulated slowly, copied by hand, or read aloud in taverns and family gatherings. They shaped public consciousness. Dominicans began to ask whether a unified island could truly provide equality for both cultures or whether independence was necessary to reclaim autonomy. Santo Domingo also featured a diverse social makeup that affected its response to occupation. There were wealthy merchant families with Spanish roots, middle-class artisans, Afro-Dominican freemen, and recently emancipated workers new to civic life. Haitian soldiers stationed in the capital interacted daily with these populations, buying local goods, attending dances, participating in festivals, and sometimes challenging Spanish elitism. Urban Dominican women found economic opportunities selling food to troops or renting small rooms to Haitian officials. The city economy adapted to military spending, and in many areas, living conditions improved due to constant circulation of currency. Yet intellectual friction deepened with each political decision Boyer made. Dominican scholars resented the lack of representation in major Haitian political offices and viewed Haitian Creole and French language priority as suppression. Haitian leaders viewed Dominican agitation as ungrateful, arguing that Haiti had saved them from Spanish recolonization. This clash of interpretations sharpened nationalist identity. Cultural pride intensified, and Dominicans began glorifying Spanish ancestors not out of admiration for Spain itself, but as emotional contrast to Haitian governance. The Haitian abolition of slavery across the island also had unexpected cultural effects. Santo Domingo became a beacon for enslaved people fleeing from Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Virgin Islands. Dominican elites disliked this influx, fearing social destabilization and racial intermixing. Haitian authorities, however, welcomed the arrivals as ideological validation, proof that a free black island threatened colonial slavery throughout the Caribbean. Urban society's complexity during the occupation demonstrates something essential. Resentment did not appear overnight. It formed slowly through decades of cultural tension, economic sacrifice, communication gaps, and differing visions of sovereignty. But it also coexisted with cooperation, mixed identities, mutual marriages, financial exchange, and social blending. By the end of the 1820s, Dominican sentiment toward Haitian rule had matured into three distinct currents. KICAP won communities that supported Haiti for protecting emancipation and providing land. KICAP two moderate groups who disliked some policies but feared foreign threats more. KICAP three nationalist factions determined to restore Dominican sovereignty. These three forces would shape the island's political future, pushing the next decade toward conflict, resistance, and the unforgettable road to Dominican independence. As the occupation entered the decade of the 1830s, both Haiti and the Dominican side of the island experienced new internal pressures that reshaped the political atmosphere. Until this point, Boyer's government had maintained relative stability through strong centralized command and control, supported by his long-standing revolutionary reputation. But with every passing year, the financial weight of the French indemnity crushed Haiti's economy. The burden extended equally into the eastern territories, producing intense frustration among Dominicans who increasingly questioned why they must sacrifice their livelihoods to help pay for a debt they felt was not theirs. Boyer's leadership, once respected for holding Haiti's unity together, increasingly appeared strained, defensive, and overwhelmed. Inside Haiti, merchants, generals, and farmers all complained about the suffocating tax system. Coffee revenue, once Haiti's financial backbone, began declining due to exhausted soils and lack of labor incentives. As the West faltered, Boyer needed the East more than ever to collect revenue. Dominican communities noticed this desperation clearly and interpreted it as exploitation, while Haitian patriotism supported paying the indemnity for national dignity. Dominicans saw no moral reason to participate in what they viewed as a French-imposed humiliation. This economic suffering gradually pushed Dominican elites toward political resistance. Small circles of educated youth in Santo Domingo, including Juan Pablo Duarte, began studying philosophy, liberal republicanism, and histories of national freedom. These thinkers gathered quietly in homes, reading Spanish, French, and Latin American texts on sovereignty. They watched Boyer's government weaken and sensed an opportunity growing, although they did not yet possess the strength to revolt. Cultural identity hardening accelerated during these years. Dominicans increasingly emphasized their Spanish-based heritage to distinguish themselves from Haitian identity. They celebrated Columbus anniversaries, Spanish-language purity, and European-style customs. Dominican writers began romanticizing the island's colonial past, rewriting historical memory to position Spanish ancestry as noble, civilized, and culturally superior to Haiti's African-based roots. This identity project was strategic. Independence movements require symbols, myths, heroes, and cultural lines. The Dominican elite consciously forged these elements to rally support against Haitian rule. Yet not all Dominicans participated in this ideological shift. Rural Afro-Dominicans, poorer communities, and mixed-race households often viewed Haiti more favorably, believing Haitian equality and land rights protected them more than Dominican elites ever would. Thus, the Dominican population split culturally. Urban elites nurtured separatist nationalism, while rural communities retained loyalty to Haitian leadership because Haiti guaranteed their civil status, property rights, and racial dignity. The Haitian government saw rising Dominican identity movements as a threat, but underestimated their depth. Boyer believed that administrative law and military presence were enough to prevent rebellion. He viewed nationalism as a temporary intellectual fad rather than a political danger. This misinterpretation allowed movements to grow silently. By the early 1830s, Dominican patriotic ideology began to breathe. Secret poems were written, philosophical arguments exchanged, and organizational foundations quietly built under the surface, structures that would explode into the independence cause a decade later. As opposition quietly evolved in the Dominican East, Haiti itself entered a period of internal instability that weakened Boyer's ability to control the island. Haitian society had never been a unified vision. The revolution forged two different social worlds. The North had been dominated by Henri Christophe's authoritarian kingdom before his death, while the South had followed Alexander Pétion and Boyer's republican ideals. Beneath these different legacies remained deep class divisions between the urban mulatto elite and the poorer black rural majority. These tensions did not disappear. They grew worse under economic hardship. By the 1830s, Haitian farmers resented the forced labor requirements for military roads and agricultural works. Coffee producers complained that government regulation and export taxes prevented profit. Merchants accused Boyer of restricting foreign trade too tightly, while soldiers complained about delayed payments. A new generation of Haitian officers saw Boyer as a relic of a previous era, too cautious, too conservative, too afraid to change. Political factions began emerging, calling for constitutional reforms. Some even wanted to divide the government to restore northern autonomy. Boyer, once admired as a national unifier, now appeared rigid and outdated. Dominicans observed these fractures closely. Dominican elites felt encouraged seeing Haiti struggle with internal dissent. They believed Haiti lacked the political cohesion necessary to suppress a determined independence campaign. Whispered conversations in Santo Domingo houses grew bolder. Young patriots of La Trinitaria, a secret society formed by Juan Pablo Duarte and other intellectuals by decade's end, swore to fight for independence through ideological preparation rather than brute force. They knew open rebellion was suicidal while Haiti remained militarily strong. But if Haiti fractured internally, everything could change. France, which once profited from Haiti's indemnity, wondered whether Dominican independence might influence Caribbean politics. The new Dominican Republic stood politically isolated, surrounded by uncertain neighbors, overshadowed by colonial interests, and threatened by Haiti's military presence. Meanwhile, Haitians regrouped. Hérard received news of Dominican independence with rage and disbelief. He considered it a violent insult to the Haitian Revolution's legacy and immediately promised to retake the territory. Haitian generals began preparing troop mobilizations. Soldiers based in border towns like Hincha and Las Caobas received orders to fortify positions, collect intelligence, and await further instruction. Dominicans understood Haitian invasion could arrive any hour. To prepare, Sánchez launched a propaganda wave designed to unify the population emotionally. Dominican churches rang bells every dawn and evening, reminding citizens that independence was sacred. Public speeches emphasized that the Republic represented God's approval. Newspapers published patriotic stories glorifying Dominican identity. All of this strengthened morale and prepared civilians to endure war. Throughout March 1844, the streets of Santo Domingo transformed into barracks-like environments. Men trained with wooden rifles, marching along abandoned plantations. Women stitched uniforms and prepared bandages. Children carried water to militia training grounds. Dominican independence was not simply a political achievement. It became a massive social project that engaged every household. Despite rapid mobilization, Dominicans remained terrified of Haitian retaliation. Haitian military power had defeated European empires. Haiti had crushed Napoleon's armies, destroyed colonial slave structures, and maintained independence for 4 decades. Facing such a force required unmatched determination. Meanwhile, the Dominican Catholic Church subtly encouraged nationalism. Although weakened institutionally, priests continued preaching Spanish liturgy, offering historical memory and spiritual justification for Dominican uniqueness. Church sermons praise martyrs, discuss divine freedom, and invoke patriarchal ancestral loyalty. The church did not publicly call for rebellion, but it gave emotional fuel to resistance movements by preserving Dominican culture. Boyer attempted reforms to calm tensions. He reduced some tax obligations, softened forced labor requirements, and offered Dominican elites political appointments to buy loyalty. But these reforms backfired. Dominicans viewed them as proof that Boyer feared losing control. Haitian citizens, particularly elites in Port-au-Prince, saw Boyer's concessions as political weakness. The government that once united Haiti and the Dominican Republic now seemed incapable of inspiring loyalty on either side of the island. The economic crisis deepened. Natural disasters struck crops, foreign trade declined, and Haiti struggled to maintain payment schedules to France. Boyer believed diplomatic humiliation was impossible to avoid. Dominican elites concluded, if Haiti could not protect itself economically, it could not govern them politically. The Haitian occupation, once ideologically justified by unity and emancipation, began losing its narrative power. History was shifting direction, and the Dominican independence dream, still whispered, still unofficial, grew clearer each day. Between 1830 and 1835, Dominican national identity began to transform into a tangible revolutionary project, laying ideological groundwork for independence. Central to this transformation was Juan Pablo Duarte, a young Dominican intellectual born in 1813. His family was part of Santo Domingo's merchant class and represented the urban world most shaken by Haitian administrative pressure. Duarte's education exposed him to global ideas, European romantic nationalism, Enlightenment philosophy, Latin American liberation narratives, and Republican political theory. These influences shaped him profoundly. Duarte's worldview was not based on hatred for Haiti, but on a belief that Dominicans deserved political autonomy and cultural expression free from external rule. He admired Haiti's revolution in principle, yet believed Haitians and Dominicans formed two distinct nations with incompatible social foundations. As he studied independence movements in South America, Duarte concluded that the Dominican Republic required more than military rebellion. It needed a national soul. To achieve this, Duarte began cultivating an intellectual culture of patriotism. He formed friendships with other young Dominicans, Ramon Matias Mella, Francisco del Rosario Sánchez, and many others who would later become independence heroes. They met in bookstores, cafes, and academic circles. Their meetings were not yet seditious, but deeply philosophical. They questioned whether their homeland could ever truly belong to them as long as it remained under Haitian authority. This cultural awakening spread beyond elites. Dominican youth absorbed patriotic poetry, stories of resistance, and historical reflections about pre-colonial Taino pride. Duarte and others promoted the idea that Dominican identity was not simply Spanish. It was Caribbean, mixed, unique, and worthy of sovereignty. He emphasized unity between different racial groups, arguing that national success required cooperation between white, black, and mixed-race Dominicans. Ironically, Duarte's inclusive vision mirrored Haitian egalitarianism, but he applied it to a Dominican national space rather than to a single island state. As these ideas matured, Duarte traveled abroad, establishing networks and seeking ideological influence from Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Europe. By the mid-1830s, he returned to Santo Domingo with clearer political intention to prepare a formal independence movement. These years saw formation of Dominican clubs, study circles, poetry associations, and philosophical debate groups that quietly nurtured the emotional climate needed for revolt. Duarte eventually launched La Trinitaria in 1838, but the intellectual seeds were planted during the 1830 to 1835 period. Meanwhile, Haiti weakened further. Boyer's health declined. His critics circulated pamphlets accusing him of political corruption and blaming him for the national economic crisis. Generals entertained the idea of rebellion. The Haitian army no longer operated as a unified force, and soldiers received late wages, making them restless. All these fractures would soon converge into the perfect storm that would lead to Boyer's downfall, and with it, the weakening of Haitian control in the East. The Dominican independence movement did not begin with battles. It began with thought. The occupation, while repressive in some areas, unintentionally created the conditions for Dominican nationalism to evolve intellectually, emotionally, and socially. By forging strong identity opposition, Haitian rule gave birth to the very nationalism that would later break the island into two sovereign nations forever. The mid-1830s marked a profound turning point in the Dominican side of Hispaniola. While earlier years of Haitian occupation were characterized by adjustment, cultural friction, economic tension, and slow-burning resentment, this period saw the emergence of a unified ideological structure that would eventually lead to revolution. Dominican elites, intellectuals, merchants, and young thinkers began to recognize something crucial. Discontent alone would never produce independence. What was required was organization, discipline, and a shared narrative that convinced people across race, class, and regional divides that Dominican identity was not just a cultural feeling. It was a political destiny. The Dominican East during this period was no longer silent. Newspaper letters circulated massed arguments about sovereignty, liberty, and cultural dignity. Pamphlets disguised as poetry spoke of starry nights and rivers. Yet beneath romantic metaphors lay messages about national rebirth and the coming of a new republic. Dominican elites, who earlier tolerated Haitian rule because they feared economic vacuum or Spanish return, now understood that Haitian authority was weakening. Boyer appeared tired, stretched thin between competing internal Haitian factions, a collapsing economy, and the burden of French indemnity. Dominican leaders knew the moment was approaching to set foundational stones for independence. It was within this environment that Juan Pablo Duarte matured from intellectual observer to active architect of a new nation. Duarte's philosophy grew sharper. He believed that Dominicans must separate from Haiti peacefully if possible, violently if necessary, without falling under the control of Spain, France, or any other imperial power. Duarte admired the Haitian Revolution for its achievement against slavery, yet he believed the island was never meant to function as a single political entity. He envisioned two sovereign nations cooperating as equals rather than fighting for dominance. The Dominican Cultural Identity Campaign intensified dramatically. Writers promoted histories claiming Spanish settlers created a unique society unrelated to Haiti. They emphasized Dominican Spanish language purity, family lineages tracing back to Europe, and Catholic heritage. Music, clothing style, and literature doubled down on Spanish cultural symbols. Not because Dominicans love Spain, but because adopting a Spanish persona allowed them to reject Haitian identity. These cultural movements worked like political weapons, transforming heritage into nationalism. Simultaneously, Dominican merchants began building networks of smuggling trade designed to weaken Haitian control. Goods entered ports secretly at night, bypassing Haitian taxes and strengthening Dominican finances. The profits funded gatherings, printing materials, and secret political meetings. The Haitian government responded with more military patrols and tax enforcement, which only increased Dominican anger. Rural Dominicans were slowly shifting their stance too. While many peasants still respected Haitian land grants and feared elite domination, they could not ignore growing Haitian military presence and legal pressure. Haitian soldiers enforcing conscription and taxation in the interior created hostility where previously there had been tolerance. A shift occurred. Rural families who once saw Haiti as liberation began to see it as foreign interference. All these social transformations, from elite resentment to rural distrust, aligned with Duarte's rising influence. The island by the mid-1830s had reached a psychological threshold. The Haitian occupation no longer represented protection against Spain. Instead, it symbolized stagnation, cultural suppression, economic hardship, and political suffocation. Dominicans were ready. not yet for battle, but for organized preparation. And Duarte was ready to lead them. By 1836, the Haitian state's internal fractures gave Dominicans further encouragement. Haiti struggled not only with economic instability and declining agricultural profits, but also with social unrest and growing dissatisfaction among the Haitian military. Boyer had long maintained control with strict top-down authority, but soldiers and younger officers no longer viewed him as a heroic revolutionary figure. His reforms were outdated, and his leadership style increasingly appeared autocratic. Haitian youth desired modernization, literacy growth, land reform that benefited Haitian peasants, and more democratic governance. Boyer's unwillingness to adapt disillusioned his own people. The Haitian elite, composed mostly of mixed-race intellectuals and landowners, saw their status threatened as Boyer attempted to broaden state authority. Some elites believed economic decentralization was necessary, while others argued the military should hold greater autonomy. Meanwhile, rural Haitian farmers bristled under heavy taxation meant to pay the French indemnity. They worked tirelessly, only to see profit disappear into government coffers. These internal crises within Haiti were observed closely by Dominicans, especially Duarte and his associates. They realized something powerful. The Haitian occupation did not persist because Haiti was unbreakable, but because Dominicans had not yet organized toward independence. Without leadership and structure, Dominican anger remained scattered. Duarte committed himself to changing that. In 1836 and 1837, Duarte began forming what would become his greatest legacy, the secret revolutionary fraternity known as La Trinitaria. It was called Trinitarian because its structure was organized around the sacred number 3, a symbolic, strategic, and spiritual formation. Each member would secretly recruit 3 more, building exponential growth that avoided detection. The group met quietly at a tailor shop owned by Juan Isidro Perez in Santo Domingo, disguised as friendly gatherings rather than subversive planning cells. Membership required absolute loyalty to Dominican independence, secrecy under oath, and willingness to sacrifice personal security. Duarte emphasized that independence must produce a republic, not a monarchy, not foreign annexation. His ideological clarity was revolutionary in itself. He believed the Dominican Republic must guarantee racial equality, national unity, and citizen dignity. Duarte's imagined Dominican nation was not just Spanish ancestry. It was Afro-European heritage intertwined, embracing diversity. La Trinitaria created literature, poetry, and political symbols to spread Dominican nationalist identity. They wrote songs that sounded like love stories but disguised messages of liberation. They memorized national slogans and wore coded jewelry signifying their membership. The Haitian authorities, focused on larger Haitian struggles, failed to notice how powerful these ideas were becoming. But the organization faced constant danger. Haitian officers monitored suspicious gatherings, censored printing presses, and questioned intellectuals who traveled frequently. Duarte often disguised himself as a traveling merchant to meet with supporters beyond Santo Domingo, risking arrest. Dominican patriots in Santiago, La Vega, and Puerto Plata began to whisper of revolution. Duarte's charisma and moral reputation attracted followers who were tired of Haitian military rule and desperate for cultural freedom. The Dominican independence movement finally had structure, goals, membership, and ideology. For the first time since 1822, an organized movement existed, not simply isolated dissatisfaction. It is no exaggeration to say that had Haiti been politically stable and economically strong, La Trinitaria might not have grown. Haitian failure provided Dominican opportunity, and Duarte seized that opportunity with strategic brilliance. The founding years of La Trinitaria unfolded against the background of major leadership weakening inside Haiti. Boyer, once celebrated as the stabilizer of both Haitian territories, became deeply unpopular. Haiti's economy approached collapse. International commerce dwindled, agricultural yields declined, and inflation spread. The French indemnity payments continued draining national wealth, and Haiti still owed more than it could ever realistically pay. Boyer's insistence on funding indemnity over domestic development made him appear disconnected from real Haitian suffering. Even within his inner circle, criticism grew. What made Boyer especially vulnerable was generational shift. Young Haitian officers, intellectual students, and rural community leaders were not shaped by the Haitian Revolution's trauma. They were shaped by its aftermath. They wanted change, land ownership reform, better schools, democratic participation, reduced taxation, and an end to authoritarian politics. Boyer instead clung to a hierarchical state structure that reflected the revolutionary era, ignoring how much ordinary Haitians needed representation. By 1837, conspiracies grew inside Haiti to overthrow Boyer. Dominican patriots heard rumors of secret meetings among Haitian generals plotting political change. Duarte realized that the Dominican independence movement must be timed perfectly to overlap with Haitian collapse. He taught his followers that revolutions succeed not from violent strength, but from strategic timing. Meanwhile, Dominican literature and philosophy evolved rapidly. Studies of national identity spread through urban centers. Dominican historians emphasized indigenous Taino imagery, depicting Dominicans as heirs to Quisqueya rather than to Haiti. Spanish ancestors were glorified not because Spain symbolized salvation, but because Spanish heritage provided a non-Haitian cultural root essential for nation building. Dominican nationalism reimagined history to support future independence, merging truth, memory, and political necessity. The occupation unintentionally shaped Dominican education. Left without strong church-led schooling, Dominicans relied on family libraries, shared books, and European materials smuggled illegally. These texts transformed political consciousness. Dominican intellectuals read French Enlightenment philosophy. Ironically, ideology born from the same intellectual streams that nourished the Haitian Revolution. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Montesquieu, Bolivar, and Spanish-American independence writers helped Dominican thinkers articulate democratic principles. While planning future independence, Duarte also calculated what kind of military resistance might be required. Haitian garrisons remained strong in key cities, and the Haitian army could mobilize thousands. A Dominican rebellion supported only by elites would fail instantly. Duarte needed the people, peasants, farmers, merchants, freed Afro-Dominican laborers, to see independence as beneficial to their daily lives. He worked to convince them that a Dominican nation would preserve land ownership reforms rather than reverse them. Duarte rejected elite racism, understanding that a multiracial nationalism was the only model strong enough to defeat Haiti. By 1838, Duarte and La Trinitaria had become the central nervous system of the independence movement. Dominican nationalism had matured from passive resentment into proud cultural identity backed by organized political intent. Haiti, meanwhile, was heading toward internal fracture, financial despair, and leadership overthrow. The tides of history were shifting. The stage was prepared for the dramatic collapse of Haitian control and the birth of a new Dominican state. Soon, the island would enter the most explosive period of the occupation, the moment when domination began collapsing not from battlefield defeat, but from internal implosion and ideological triumph. By 1838, the atmosphere on both sides of the island changed dramatically. The Haitian occupation, once firm and unquestioned, entered a stage of visible decay. President Jean-Pierre Boyer, who had led Haiti since 1818 and unified the island under Haitian authority in 1822, was no longer the commanding political force he once had been. Boyer's health weakened, his administration stagnated, and criticism multiplied across Haiti. The country that had once shocked the world by defeating European slavery now wrestled with demons of corruption, poverty, political fragmentation, and ideological fatigue. Haitian citizens who were born after the revolution lacked emotional loyalty to Boyer's old revolutionary legacy. They wanted a leader who represented the urgency of their present struggle, not the memory of their parents' battles. The financial catastrophe caused by France's indemnity payments pushed Haiti into severe decline. Boyer had believed paying France would secure Haiti's legitimacy, allowing trade relations to flourish, but the opposite occurred. Haiti could not sustain its economy beneath this crushing debt. The currency collapsed, merchants fled abroad seeking better markets, ports lost activity, farms lost workers, and the Haitian middle class developed anger rather than patriotism. Dominican residents, witnessing Haitian decline, saw the occupation turning brittle. At the same time, Dominican elites intensified their identity campaign. The growth of La Trinitaria after its creation in 1838 revolutionized Dominican social consciousness. Members expanded beyond Santo Domingo, reaching Santiago, Azua, and Puerto Plata. The early months after independence set the stage for a brutal reality. Freedom had been proclaimed, but defending it would require united sacrifice. Dominican sovereignty existed not because the occupation ended, but because the people were ready to fight to prevent its return. While the new Dominican government consolidated rapidly, it also confronted dangerous internal fractures that threatened national survival as much as Haitian invasion. The Junta Central Gubernativa, dominated by conservative elites, clashed ideologically with the Trinitarios who envisioned a democratic republic rooted in equality and cultural unity. Tension grew immediately. The junta, led by Tomás Bobadilla and other influential elites, argued the Dominican Republic must seek foreign protection to survive. They believed Haiti would attack with overwhelming force, and that the Dominican Republic, poor, barely organized, lacking industry, and without naval strength, would fall quickly. Their strategy involved negotiating with European powers or even United States for military aid. They favored forming a protectorate, even if that meant sacrificing some political independence. Sánchez, Mella, and other patriots firmly opposed this view. They believed that foreign protectorates were simply new forms of colonial slavery. Their argument declared the Dominican Republic must be defended by Dominicans, not by foreign armies whose interests might contradict national freedom. This deep division within Dominican leadership risked civil conflict before Haiti even attacked. The conservative class viewed Duarte's ideals as poetic but impractical. They distrusted mass democracy, feared social equality would elevate Afro-Dominican populations, and believed a hierarchical government was necessary. Meanwhile, the Trinitarios wanted to dismantle elite dominance and construct a republic where race and ancestry did not define citizenship. New recruits established microcells of resistance, each 3 members forming new trios, creating dozens of interconnected networks. Dominican youth, moved by Duarte's charisma, learned to believe that independence was not merely a dream, but a duty. Unlike rebellions based on anger alone, this one rested on education and ideology. Dominicans studied republicanism, debated political philosophy, and trained quietly in military strategy using smuggled manuals. Duarte and his core group built alliances with Dominican merchants who controlled cattle trade and urban commerce. These merchants possessed something crucial: access to money and ships. Smuggling operations grew significantly during these years. Dominican traders secretly communicated with Puerto Rico and Venezuelan ports, transporting information, literature, and sometimes weapons. Haitian authorities attempted to stop illegal maritime flow, but corruption within Haitian military ranks allowed smugglers to pay bribes to pass checkpoints. Every act of smuggling weakened Haitian authority and strengthened Dominican networks. Meanwhile, Haitian soldiers stationed in the Dominican East began suffering severe material shortages. They lacked regular pay, damaged uniforms, and consistent food supplies. Their morale crashed. Forced to enforce unpopular taxes on Dominican families while receiving minimal support from Port-au-Prince, many units resented Boyer's administration. Some Haitian officers wrote letters complaining about Haitian neglect of the Eastern Territory. Others turned blind eyes to Dominican organizing out of personal frustration. Another powerful element driving Haitian decline was generational leadership conflict. Younger Haitian politicians criticized Boyer for failing to modernize the country. They called him an outdated general clinging to power through fear rather than wisdom. This rebellion took shape under the leadership of Charles Rivière-Hérard, a Haitian general who believed Boyer was destroying the republic. Dominican leaders watched Haitian politics like hawks. They recognized that if Haiti fell into civil conflict, the occupation would weaken structurally. Dominican dreams of independence began to move from abstract imagination to precise calculation. The ground beneath Haitian rule shifted permanently after 1838. The empire of occupation had cracks everywhere, and Dominican patriots prepared to widen those cracks until the structure collapsed. The creation of La Trinitaria did not merely formalize Dominican resistance, it institutionalized it. Duarte designed the organization to remain invisible to Haitian authorities. No written membership lists, no public gatherings, no identifiable leadership hierarchy. The group used coded language. Members referred to each other by initials or symbolic titles rather than names. They created patriotic songs disguised as romantic ballads, organized poetry readings that hid revolutionary meaning, and held debates about history to mass political education. Each meeting strengthened Dominican resolve. One of the most brilliant aspects of La Trinitaria was Duarte's ideological inclusiveness. He invited men from diverse racial and class backgrounds: students, ranchers, soldiers, musicians, merchants, even carpenters. Duarte understood that a successful independence movement could not rely solely on aristocratic elites. Haiti had proven through its own revolution that mass participation, not elite control, changes nations. Dominican aristocrats often despised the idea of racial equality, fearing that independence led by multiracial cooperation would dismantle their privileges. Duarte rejected these elitist fears and pushed the republic toward egalitarian principles. The Haitian occupation unintentionally accelerated Dominican internal unity. Common struggle brought classes together. A wealthy merchant and a black farmer might disagree about culture, but both understood taxation under Haitian authority damaged their futures. Dominican Catholic leaders also gained influence. Even though Haitian administration weakened institutional Catholic power, local priests preserved language, rituals, and identity. They spoke quietly about divine justice, convincing small towns that Dominican separation from Haiti represented God's plan. Still, Haitian rule remained harsh enough to sustain resentment. Military officers enforced forced labor laws, required payment in produce rather than currency, and punished tax resistance through imprisonment. Dominican farmers who failed to deliver government-mandated animal hides or tobacco quotas faced the seizure of livestock. Oppression, whether real or exaggerated through rumor, amplified national anger. By 1839, Dominican patriots began sending letters to foreign sympathizers seeking future diplomatic support. Duarte explored potential connections in Venezuela because of Simón Bolívar's historical influence in the region. Dominican separatists studied regional revolutions. They looked at Mexico's break from Spain, South American liberation under Bolívar, and the independence struggles of Central America. These historical models offered inspiration and strategic lessons. Dominicans realized the success of every independence effort depended on timing, unity, and foreign diplomacy. On the Haitian side, Boyer faced arguably the most dangerous internal threat yet. The military was turning against him. Officers like Hérard viewed Boyer's rule as autocratic and outdated, arguing that failures to adjust the Constitution and refusal to decentralize power damaged Haiti's future. The Haitian occupation unintentionally accelerated Dominican internal unity. Common struggle brought classes together. A wealthy merchant and a black farmer might disagree about culture, but both understood taxation under Haitian authority damaged their futures. Dominican Catholic leaders also gained influence. Even though Haitian administration weakened institutional Catholic power, local priests preserved language, rituals, and identity. They spoke quietly about divine justice, convincing small towns that Dominican separation from Haiti represented God's plan. Still, Haitian rule remained harsh enough to sustain resentment. Military officers enforced forced labor laws, required payment in produce rather than currency, and punished tax resistance through imprisonment. Dominican farmers who failed to deliver government-mandated animal hides or tobacco quotas faced the seizure of livestock. Oppression, whether real or exaggerated through rumor, amplified national anger. By 1839, Dominican patriots began sending letters to foreign sympathizers seeking future diplomatic support. Duarte explored potential connections in Venezuela because of Simón Bolívar's historical influence in the region. Dominican separatists studied regional revolutions. They looked at Mexico's break from Spain, South American liberation under Bolívar, and the independence struggles of Central America. These historical models offered inspiration and strategic lessons. Dominicans realized the success of every independence effort depended on timing, unity, and foreign diplomacy. On the Haitian side, Boyer faced arguably the most dangerous internal threat yet. The military was turning against him. Officers like Herard viewed Boyer's rule as autocratic and outdated, arguing that failures to adjust the Constitution and refusal to decentralize power damaged Haiti's future. At the same time, the ongoing financial crisis provoked rural Haitian uprisings. Peasants withheld labor, abandoned farms, and refused tax deliveries. Haiti became a nation simmering on the edge of political explosion. Dominican leaders knew insurrection while Haiti remained united would be doomed. But a rebellion while Haiti crumbled? That could succeed. La Trinitaria wrote revolutionary calendars predicting when Haitian collapse might reach its peak. Dominican elites calculated how long Haitian soldiers stationed in the East could tolerate unpaid wages. Even Haitian Creole-speaking residents of the East began questioning Boyer's politics. The occupation was entering a new phase, not simply one of governance, but one of survival. Boyer no longer governed a unified island. He presided over a territory preparing to fracture. By the year 1840, two major historical developments converged. Haiti accelerated towards civil war, and Dominican nationalism reached its highest ideological momentum. Duarte and La Trinitaria established a second secret organization named La Philantropica, created to spread national consciousness more openly through theater, public readings, and civic events. This group served a different purpose. While La Trinitaria worked in secrecy, La Philantropica influenced Dominican culture publicly. Through plays and stage dialogues, they criticized tyranny, exalted liberty, and used metaphor to condemn foreign control. Haitian officers were suspicious, but most performances appeared harmless, wrapped in artistry rather than open rebellion. Dominican revolutionary confidence increased for multiple reasons. First, Haitian soldiers stationed across Dominican territory received less support and fewer supplies than ever. Food shortages occurred, weapons rusted, and uniforms fell apart. The Dominican population, responsible for feeding Haitian troops via taxation, did so with minimal enthusiasm. Second, Haitian officers based in eastern garrisons often became socially integrated, marrying locals or forming friendships, and lost interest in enforcing harsh directives from Boyer. Third, news spread that Herard and his allies in Haiti prepared to overthrow Boyer. Dominican patriots sensed victory drawing near. Socially, Dominican cultural pride exploded. Bilingualism increased. Dominicans learned some Creole from interaction with Haitian neighbors, while Haitians learned Spanish. But rather than blending identities, each side grew more certain of its cultural boundaries. Dominicans embraced Spanish Romantic literary style, Gothic Catholicism, and Iberian naming traditions as signs of national pedigree. Haitians clung to revolutionary memory, African diasporic heritage, and liberation ideology. The Dominican middle class expanded its intellectual output. Poems, sermons, essays, and diary entries described life under Haitian rule with emotional clarity. Writers argued that Dominican identity was not inferior or incomplete without Haiti. Instead, they claimed that being Dominican meant possessing a unique soul forged through centuries of frontier survival, mixed ancestry, cattle culture, and Caribbean adaptation. They argued this identity deserved sovereignty. Meanwhile, Duarte secretly traveled again, raising funds, strengthening alliances, and preparing for future revolt. He encouraged Dominican farmers and fishermen to store weapons, machetes, muskets, knives, and pistols. Dominican blacksmiths began forging blades and bullet molds disguised as agricultural tools. The rebellion's infrastructure slowly took shape. Boyer's political image in Haiti deteriorated further. His refusal to reform taxation, adjust the constitution, or surrender executive power shattered his popularity. Rumors circulated across Haiti that the president lived in luxury while peasants starved. Churches, military groups, and rural families demanded leadership change. Politicians accused Boyer of betrayal, insisting the indemnity payments had ruined national dignity. By the end of 1840, Haiti stood on the verge of collapse, and Dominican patriots, watching carefully, understood that the moment to strike independence would come soon. The long occupation was approaching its end, not because one side grew militarily superior, but because Haitian internal crisis had eroded its ability to maintain control. Dominicans were no longer simply dreaming of sovereignty. They began preparing to seize it. What once looked impossible now appeared inevitable. The tension rising between 1840 and 1843 would finally break the island into two nations, and the next chapters of this history would unfold through revolution, exile, war, betrayal, and the birth of the Dominican Republic. Between 1840 and 1843, the island of Hispaniola experienced one of the most dramatic political transformations in Caribbean history. The Haitian regime, which once appeared unshakable, now suffered from deep fragmentation, corruption accusations, generational rivalries, and rising revolutionary sentiment. Jean-Pierre Boyer, who had governed the unified island for nearly 22 years, struggled to maintain control over both Haitian and Dominican territories. The empire he created through revolutionary legacy and political vision now crumbled beneath the pressures of economic recession, public dissatisfaction, constitutional disagreement, and shifting ideological expectations. Haiti entered the 1840s facing the consequences of its own history. The Haitian Revolution, while triumphant, had created structural challenges that were not easily resolved. Plantation collapse, land redistribution to former slaves, and total dependency on agricultural export. When world coffee prices fluctuated, Haiti's national revenue collapsed. Haiti lacked industrial infrastructure, suffered transportation shortages, and had minimal foreign allies. Boyer bet everything on French recognition, believing indemnity payments would allow Haiti to thrive through global trade and respect. Instead, France trapped the nation in a financial nightmare. The toll of indemnity payments forced Haiti to tax peasants relentlessly. Dominican taxpayers who supported the Eastern economy believed they were paying for Haiti's mistakes. Haitian farmers, who worked long hours for minimal profit, began accusing Boyer of abandoning revolutionary principles. The Haitian army, once united, grew frustrated with late wages and ill-fitting policies. Deserters increased. Officers whispered in barracks that Boyer must fall for Haiti to survive. Dominican patriots watched all of this with calculating eyes. They believed that independence must occur in alignment with Haitian collapse. No movement could overthrow Haitian occupation while Haiti remained unified. But once Haitian unity fractured, Dominican strategy changed from patient waiting to active preparation. Duarte informed his inner circle that the revolution clock had begun ticking. Dominican patriots studied Boyer's decisions carefully, waiting for weakness to magnify into chaos. Meanwhile, Haitian society faced ideological crisis. People who once fought for freedom now demanded political rights from their own government. The Haitian constitution remained static. Voices called for reform. Intellectuals, such as Herard, argued that a republic must evolve or die. Haitian newspapers criticized Boyer more openly than ever. The president lost public trust not because he lacked talent, but because he refused change. Dominicans used Haitian political discord to strengthen their independence plan. Duarte encouraged patriot circles to expand recruitment without detection. Members of La Trinitaria sent letters disguised as love poems to spread secret communication. Dominican merchants visited Haiti pretending to negotiate trade while assessing military vulnerability. Students traveled to Port-au-Prince posing as scholars to gather rumors. Journalism became a coded weapon. Dominican writers embedded independence ideology within everyday social commentary. The cultural divide between Haitians and Dominicans also widened dramatically during these years. Haitian political rhetoric emphasized African diaspora identity and revolutionary memory. Dominican nationalists argued the East possessed distinct heritage rooted in frontier landholding, mixed-race society, Iberian language, and Catholic culture. Dominican intellectuals insisted these differences justified the right to national independence. Politically, the early 1840s marked the moment Haitian occupation lost psychological authority. Dominicans no longer felt obligated to accept Haitian sovereignty. The occupation, once justified as protection from Spain, now represented an obstacle to Dominican destiny. The once intimidating Haitian military now appeared vulnerable. The balance of fear shifted permanently, and once people lose fear of their rulers, revolutions become inevitable. As Haitian internal instability intensified, La Trinitaria increased its activities with remarkable sophistication. Duarte and his associates expanded into the cultural sphere through theater, poetry, and social clubs. They established La Dramatica, a performance-oriented branch that disguised revolutionary messages through staged political allegory. Dominican audiences watched plays depicting tyrannical kings and freed heroes, secretly recognizing Haitian rule portrayed behind symbolic masks. These events did more than entertain. They awakened national consciousness and solidified public unity. Meanwhile, Haitian authorities attempted to spy on Dominican society more closely. Military commanders reported suspicious gatherings, poetry readings, and unexplained travel among Dominican youth. Yet Haitian surveillance weakened due to lack of resources and internal Haitian distraction. Boyer focused on preventing rebellion in Haiti, not the East. Dominican patriots exploited this tunnel vision. During these critical years, Duarte's personal leadership underwent dramatic development. He was not purely a theoretician. He was also a disciplined strategist. Duarte believed that independence could not rely solely on elite intellectuals. He visited cattle farms, fishing villages, and plantations to speak with laborers about freedom. He explained that Haitian occupation suppressed Dominican commerce, limited trade, and taxed food production. Duarte warned that Haiti, desperate for revenue, would eventually seize more Dominican land if the East did not act. His speeches transformed ordinary farmers into nationalists. Dominican patriotism expanded into rural territory, especially in mountain zones where Haitian authority rarely reached. Men who once worked as mule drivers became messengers. Women who sold food in markets carried coded letters sewn into clothing seams. Farmers hid muskets in fields beneath plantain trees. If the Haitian army ever attempted mass arrests, these communities prepared to fight. Haitian soldiers sensed growing hostility. In 1841, Haitian commanders sent urgent warnings to Port-au-Prince claiming Dominican loyalty could no longer be trusted. Yet Boyer, drowning in crisis, ignored them. Instead, he attempted to stabilize Haiti by reforming land policies, reducing state control, and offering more land to peasants. But reforms came too late, and Haitian peasants remained dissatisfied. The Dominican movement also benefited from widening Haitian class warfare. Afro-Haitian peasants felt betrayed by the elite mulatto leadership in Port-au-Prince. They believed Boyer favored wealthy mixed-race politicians and foreigners over rural citizens who had fought in the revolution. Dominican leaders saw Haitian class division as their greatest strategic opening. If Haiti imploded from within, Dominican independence would face minimal resistance. The Haitian political landscape soon exploded. General Charles Rivière-Hérard, who believed Boyer unfit to rule, united military factions against him. Intellectuals, merchants, and soldiers demanded constitutional reform or removal of the president. Duarte told Dominican patriots that the East must remain patient until Haiti tore itself apart. Through 1842, secret Dominican meetings increased dramatically. Duarte, Sánchez, and Mella organized underground councils that discussed plans for national symbols such as a flag, a constitution, and military ranks. Duarte believed that independence could not be improvised. It needed structure the moment Haiti fell. They discussed how to divide responsibilities among leaders, how to recruit regional militia, and how to form provisional governance. Simultaneously, natural disaster struck Haiti. The earthquake of May 7th, 1842 destroyed the northern city of Cap-Haïtien and severely damaged surrounding regions. Thousands died. This catastrophe devastated Haitian morale and government stability. Haitian military units relocated, abandoning some eastern garrisons to assist victims. Dominican patriots recognized this as a historical omen. The Haitian occupation was collapsing not only politically and economically, but physically. By 1843, the fuse for Boyer's downfall had burned to its end. Haiti was ready to explode, and Dominicans were ready to seize their future. These internal disputes weakened the Republic's political unity. At times, heated meetings nearly dissolved cooperation entirely. Sánchez argued endlessly that the people must not be governed by fear, but by patriotic conviction. Conservative elites replied that Sánchez had no understanding of geopolitical reality. Haiti's forces would soon march, and dreams alone would not protect the Republic. But despite internal political war, the external military threat forced collaboration. Haitian troops, already approaching the border, serve as a cruel reminder that the Dominican Republic could not afford internal chaos. The first Haitian military movements occurred within days of independence. Scouts reported Haitian cavalry moving from Las Cayobas toward the Cibao Valley, preparing to strike northern Dominican towns. At the same time, Dominican spies confirmed that Hérard planned a full-scale invasion with thousands of Haitian infantry. Dominican villages near the border panicked. Families fled toward the interior, carrying livestock, grain, and homemade belongings. Priests offered last rites to men preparing for combat. Haitian counter-invasion seemed inevitable, yet something remarkable occurred. Peasants refused to submit. Rural Dominican communities, long ignored by Spanish colonial authority and weary of Haitian occupation, rallied behind independence. Farmers who barely spoke Spanish properly, who lived far from political elites, now volunteered as soldiers, even if they had nothing more than machetes. This rural uprising shocked Haitian expectations. Hérard assumed Dominicans lacked unity and would fracture. Instead, farmers, ranchers, and herdsmen declared loyalty to the new republic with astonishing enthusiasm. Some rode horses barefoot to deliver messages across mountain ranges. Others donated cattle to feed Dominican militias. Dominican women forged gunpowder, mixtures using charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur. The year 1843 stands as one of the most decisive dates in Haitian and Dominican history, for it was during this year that Boyer's long political reign finally ended. The revolution against Boyer emerged primarily from Haitian, not Dominican, resentment, proof that the Haitian occupation of the East was undone not by foreign invasion, but by internal decay. Dominican patriots did not need to defeat Boyer on the battlefield. Haitians themselves removed him. On February 27, 1843, Hérard and other reformists proclaimed a movement to replace Boyer with a new constitutional order. Haitian crowds supported change enthusiastically, marching through Port-au-Prince demanding Boyer's resignation. Feeling threatened, Boyer attempted suppression, but his army no longer obeyed him. Many soldiers abandoned his cause, and several generals turned against him. With no military loyalty and no political credibility, Boyer fled the island and sailed into exile, never to return. Dominican patriots celebrated, but they did so silently. They knew the fall of Boyer did not mean independence was automatically secure. A new Haitian government would emerge, and if that government attempted stronger control over the East, the window of opportunity might close permanently. Duarte urged calm discipline. La Trinitaria expanded immediately, recruiting hundreds of new members across Santo Domingo, Azua, Boni, and La Vega. Dominican nationalists knew they needed every ally possible. Herard, now leading Haiti, promised reform and modernization. But instead of focusing on internal Haitian problems, he turned his attention toward controlling the Dominican East. The Haitian government understood that losing the Dominican territory would destroy Haiti's defense strategy, economy, and international image. Haiti saw the Dominican independence movement as a threat not only to national pride, but to national survival. Dominicans recognized this reality too. They understood that independence required confronting Haitian military force eventually. But they believed the Haitian army would remain weakened for years. Haiti faced food shortages, internal rebellion, political division, and deep distrust among its people. Many Haitians viewed Herard as just another elite politician who ignored rural suffering. During 1843, Dominican patriots accelerated preparations at breathtaking speed. Duarte drafted political documents defining the principles of citizenship, liberty, and fraternity under a new Dominican state. He insisted that the future republic must avoid racism and grant equality to all. Duarte believed the Dominican Republic must not imitate Haiti's internal divisions or Europe's class hierarchies. However, ideological unity did not eliminate internal Dominican disagreement. Some elites feared independence would empower the poor. Others wanted foreign annexation as protection against Haiti. Factions emerged. Duarte's Republican independence vision. Noboa and merchants promoting annexation to France. Conservatives wanting Spanish restoration. These internal divisions foreshadowed future Dominican political struggles. But in 1843, the focus remained on waiting for Haiti to weaken further. As the Haitian Revolution intensified, Dominican hopes soared. For 21 years, the East had lived under Haitian government, taxed by Haitian treasury, judged under Haitian law, and governed by Haitian military presence. Now, the occupation faced its final years. The stage was set. Haiti would continue its civil drama under Herard. Dominican patriots would organize toward armed and political rebellion. And within only months, the Dominican Republic would stand on the horizon. No longer just an idea, but a coming reality forged through endurance, identity, courage, and timing. With Boyer gone and Haiti entering yet another volatile phase of political reshaping under Charles Rivière Herard, the Dominican East found itself living within a rare window of opportunity. Still technically under Haitian control, the eastern side of Hispaniola experienced a power vacuum that shifted the balance between obedience and rebellion. Haitian officials attempted to stabilize administration in the Dominican territory, but their commands carried weakened authority. Dominican elites suddenly possessed space to maneuver, recruit, and organize more openly. The Haitian occupation had not yet ended, but for the first time since 1822, Dominicans could act without fearing immediate unified retaliation from Port-au-Prince. Herard, newly risen to power, inherited a Haiti in turmoil. He tried to rebuild national morale, redesign the constitution, and reorganize the economy. Yet Haiti remained unstable. His political legitimacy was questioned, especially by rural Haitian peasants who distrusted elite leadership. Haiti's north, once ruled by Christophe's kingdom, maintained a distinct identity. The south, shaped by Pétion and Boyer, harbored conflicting ideologies. Herard faced scattered uprisings and mutinies even before he attempted to reassert control over the East. Dominicans understood that Herard would eventually try to re-strengthen Haitian rule. Independence now required strategic urgency. Too fast, and the Haitians would crush them. Too slow, and Haiti could recover. Duarte recognized this delicate balance. He believed independence should occur only after a final Haitian unraveling. During 1843, Dominican intellectuals began writing openly about sovereignty under the guise of political reform. They joined the reformist movement, a Haitian constitutional initiative that called for elections and civic involvement across the island. At first, Dominicans cooperated with Haitian reformers to push for shared governance. Duarte and many Trinitarios participated, hoping the reforms would produce legalized Dominican autonomy while masquerading as Haitian constitutional support. But Dominican goals diverged from Haitian reformers quickly. Haitians wanted to modernize Haiti and maintain island unity. Dominicans intended to use reform movements as camouflage to strengthen separatist networks. When Haitians realized Dominican participation served independence, not integration, trust collapsed. Meanwhile, Dominican nationalism became more visible. Duarte, Sánchez, and Mella began planning not just philosophically, but militarily. They mapped river crossings, calculated travel distances between strategic towns, studied Haitian troop numbers, and memorized road networks. Duarte believed that a Dominican rebellion must be organized around cities, not countryside alone. Cities had printing presses, cavalry, gathering spaces, and symbolic value. To win independence, the people needed to see their centers under Dominican command. Dominican women played essential roles during this period. They smuggled letters, provided shelter for revolutionaries, protected secret meeting spaces, and carried coded messages by memorization rather than paper. Their invisibility within political records made them perfect intelligence carriers. Names like Rosa Duarte, Josefa Perez, and others remain overshadowed by male historical narratives. Yet the independence movement would have collapsed without them. Haitian commanders stationed in the east sensed a storm coming. Reports circulated claiming Dominican merchants refused tax shipments, that young men avoided Haitian military enrollment, and that nationalist songs spread through public gatherings. Herard sent orders demanding stronger tax enforcement and closer surveillance. But Haitian authority in the East operated like a thin shell, able to give commands, unable to enforce them fully. Their soldiers were hungry, underpaid, and politically uncertain. The Dominican independence clock now ticked loudly. If Dominicans failed to act before Haitian power reconsolidated, their dream might vanish forever. But the movement was no longer driven by dream alone. It was driven by momentum, preparation, and unity unseen during the early decades of occupation. By mid-1843, internal Haitian instability deepened into outright crisis, accelerating Dominican revolutionary planning. Herard, though ambitious, faced a Haiti tearing itself apart from multiple directions. Rural uprisings, particularly the anti-elite Piquet's rebellion led by Jean-Jacques Acau in southern Haiti, destabilized central authority. These rebels, many of them peasants, rejected the influence of Port-au-Prince elites, demanding redistribution of land and political equality. Their agenda clashed violently with Herard's reform movement. Haiti plunged further into fragmentation, an ideal scenario for Dominican separatists. Dominican strategists understood that Haiti could no longer function as a united occupying power. They recognized that Haitian soldiers stationed in the Dominican territory would struggle to receive reinforcements if Haiti itself burned with rebellion. Dominican patriots decided independence must be declared before Haiti could regain control. Duarte, however, faced internal Dominican political rivals. Not all elites wished for pure Dominican sovereignty. Some feared a small republic could not defend itself militarily. They believed independence would expose the Dominican territory to invasion from Haiti, Spain, France, or even the United States. As a result, factions emerged supporting foreign annexation. Keycap, one French annexationist, argued a French protectorate would secure wealth and military defense. Keycap, two Spanish royalists, wanted to return under Spanish colonial rule, believing shared culture justified reunion. Keycap, three Dominican elites seeking U.S. or British protection, hoped external powers might guarantee stability and trade routes. These conservative elites saw Duarte as idealistic, brilliant, moral, and patriotic, yet unrealistic. They believed a small Dominican republic surrounded by powerful nations would be swallowed alive. But Duarte refused annexation completely. He argued that any nation controlling the Dominican territory, Spain, France, or Haiti, would deny Dominican people the dignity and self-ownership they deserved. To Duarte, sovereignty was sacred, and he insisted that the future Dominican Republic must embrace democracy, racial equality, and civic harmony rather than reproducing colonial hierarchies. This ideological conflict threatened to fracture the independence movement internally, even before Haiti tried to crush it externally. Duarte therefore adopted a strategic compromise. He allowed annexationist leaders to join the reformist movement, while La Trinitaria continued preparing secretly for armed rebellion. The Haitian state recognized Dominican reform involvement as suspicious, yet allowed it initially because Haiti needed unified participation to create constitutional restructuring. Herard even traveled to the Dominican side in 1843 to organize political activity, believing shared representation might rebuild trust. But Dominican participation in reform was deception. It provided cover to organize resistance openly. Meanwhile, Haitian soldiers stationed in the east suffered deep demoralization. Supplies dwindled, communication from Haiti deteriorated, and commanders feared rebellion might erupt behind them. Food shortages caused skirmishes between Haitian patrols and Dominican farmers. Haitians increasingly relied on Dominican merchants for provisions, placing them economically beneath those they governed. Dominicans recognized Haitian military collapse as a sign of divine timing. In taverns, whispers circulated, "Haiti is breaking inside. The East must rise before the wall closes." By late 1843, Duarte declared that three pillars had formed to guarantee Dominican independence: Haitian government fragmentation, Dominican nationalist unity, military preparation across regional strongholds. The final barrier remained. Haiti still held armed control of major Dominican cities. To break occupation, a revolutionary spark was needed, an event symbolic enough to ignite the nation into open revolt. The year 1844 would be that spark. As 1843 drew toward its final months, the Dominican movement approached the decisive moment where planning transformed into irreversible action. The independence project now included military structure, ideological clarity, public support, and readiness to fight. But the most crucial step remained: establishing a formal leadership council capable of declaring revolution when the moment arrived. Juan Pablo Duarte, despite his intellectual dominance, was not the only leader necessary for success. The independence movement required multiple figures who represented different social backgrounds. Among these patriots emerged two essential names: Ramon Matias Mella and Francisco del Rosario Sánchez. Their contributions elevated the Dominican struggle from philosophical discussion to organized rebellion. Mella possessed military instinct. Brave, outspoken, and fiercely determined, he understood battlefield psychology more than Duarte. History would record Mella as the man who fired the famous cannon shot that signaled independence on February 27, 1844. But even before that symbolic action, he trained volunteers, acquired firearms, and organized militia groups in the Cibao and northern provinces. Sánchez, meanwhile, embodied political resilience. Calm, strategic, and deeply loyal to Duarte's Republican ideals, he helped unify the revolutionary message across regional communities. Sanchez's influence among the educated class provided legitimacy and trust. These three figures formed the leadership triangle that shaped Dominican destiny. Duarte built ideology. Sánchez built political unity. Mella built military capacity. However, unity did not eliminate risk. In late 1843, the Haitian government finally recognized that Dominican cooperation within its reform movement had been a facade. Haitian authorities discovered revolutionary writings, intercepted suspicious correspondence, and reported nationalist speeches in Dominican towns. Suspicion transformed into panic. Haiti feared losing control of the East entirely. Herard responded by ordering mass arrests of suspected Dominican revolutionaries. Duarte was targeted first. Warned by allies, Duarte fled to Venezuela in November 1843 to avoid imprisonment and execution. Many Trinitarios mourned his exile, believing Haitian arrest of their ideological leader would cripple independence. Instead, the opposite occurred. Duarte's exile radicalized the movement. While Duarte traveled abroad seeking moral and material support, Sánchez and Mella assumed leadership inside the Dominican territory. They continued planning independence, preparing militia fighters, organizing weapons shipments, and expanding secret meetings into semi-public gatherings. Dominican society knew rebellion was coming. The question became when, not if. Meanwhile, Herard marched Haitian troops into Santo Domingo, attempting to stamp out rebellion through intimidation. But arriving Haitian soldiers were weakened physically, mentally, and politically. Dominican patriots whispered through the streets that Haitian power had died with Boyer. Haitian officers attempted to show authority, but Dominican civilians responded with silence, subtle defiance, and refusal to cooperate. Haiti could not force loyalty. It could only attempt to delay independence through fear. Dominican nationalist songs swept through villages, ballads describing freedom, independence, rivers, mountains, and ancestors who demanded liberation. Musicians played guitars in public plazas, singing coded messages that the Haitian occupiers could hear but not decipher. Poetry and music, the cultural heart of Dominican life, became political ammunition. The last months before independence were filled with tension. Dominican patriots stored gunpowder beneath churches and homes. Hunters volunteered their rifles to future militia. Farmers trained at night with machetes. Young men delivered letters between towns by horseback, memorizing messages rather than writing them. By January 1844, the nationalist movement had reached irreversible acceleration. Duarte, though absent physically, remained spiritually present. His ideas shaped every thought, every plan, and every heart. Letters arrived from Venezuela encouraging the movement never to yield, never to accept annexation, and never to trade liberty for comfort. As winter approached, Dominican patriots finalized their decision. 1844 would be the year of independence. The occupation that began in 1822 would end not through negotiation, but through declaration, a public act of sovereignty that would echo across the Caribbean and the world. During the first months of 1844, tension across the Dominican territory reached a historic peak. Ordinary life became silently militarized. In marketplaces, behind curtains, inside barns, under the moonlight of rural trails, people whispered about the coming moment. Dominican revolutionaries ultimately understood their struggle was not simply a political rebellion. It was the rebirth of a cultural nation, a declaration that identity could no longer be legislated from Haiti's capital. Yet the uprising could only succeed if every Dominican social sector aligned. By early 1844, Francisco del Rosario, Sánchez emerged as the most visible leader operating inside the territory. Duarte's exile strengthened Sánchez's role. He became the voice of the independence movement, rallying civilians, negotiators, student organizers, shopkeepers, priests, and militia captains. His leadership emphasized caution and discipline. He insisted that no premature revolt should occur before the movement was fully prepared. Months of planning had to culminate in an act bold enough to shock Haiti into paralysis. Dominican social expression became saturated with national symbolism. Colored ribbons, flags crafted secretly by women, and coded poems circulated everywhere. Dominican pride transformed into an unstoppable emotional storm. This cultural solidarity mattered because revolutions do not rise from weapons alone. They rise from belief, identity, and myth-making. Dominican nationalists crafted a story where independence was not a political preference, but destiny. In taverns, storytellers describe the East as the true heart of Quisqueya, a land betrayed by foreign rulers. These narratives connected the people emotionally to the revolution, turning history itself into motivation. Meanwhile, Haitian authority visibly weakened across the island. Haitian soldiers assigned to garrisons in the Dominican East suffered humiliation. They rarely received wages, struggled to acquire food, and often bartered possessions simply to survive. The Dominican population, exhausted by 22 years of occupation, no longer hid their antipathy. They refused to greet Haitian commanders, mocked Haitian decrees, ignored tax collection demands, and used coded slang to ridicule the occupation. These daily acts of civil disobedience, small individually but massive collectively, eroded Haitian power psychologically and symbolically. Politically, Haiti entered another severe crisis at home. These accusations, while exaggerated, reflected Haitian fears that Western imperial powers might use the Dominican Republic to invade Haiti. Haitian elites believed that if Dominican independence succeeded, European powers would eventually recolonize Hispaniola, using the Dominican half as a military base. Such fears shaped Soulouque's aggression. Invasion was not just revenge, but preemptive defense. On the Dominican side of the border, Santana monitored Haitian militarization with alarm. Reports arrived weekly describing troop growth in Cap-Haïtien and Port-au-Prince. Dominican scouts reported new Haitian roads being built to move cannons efficiently eastward. Meanwhile, Dominican politics descended into distrust. Government ministers debated whether to attack Haiti first, argue for peace, or request foreign protection. Foreign protectorate discussions intensified in these years. Dominican elites who feared Haiti more than they valued sovereignty argued that Spain or France should assume partial control of the island to ward off invasion. They reasoned that a protectorate would provide money, guns, and naval security. Some politicians envied Cuba and Puerto Rico. Believing Spanish stability, they're offered economic security. Others, especially Duarte's supporters, rejected annexation absolutely. To them, foreign protectorates represented betrayal of everything independence symbolized. Their argument insisted, if the Republic accepted foreign guardianship, then independence was never truly desired. These political conflicts erupted in newspapers, taverns, and legislative halls. During this ideological struggle, Dominican society remained economically starved. Drought affected cattle herds, decreasing hide exports. Soil exhaustion reduced tobacco quality. Coastal trade suffered pirate attacks. Government debt soared, and tax collection became harsh, forcing resentment among farmers. Yet cultural confidence persisted. People believed Dominican identity was sacred, worth dying for. As Haiti moved toward invasion planning, Dominican communities trained new militia generations. Teenagers practiced marksmanship using carved wooden rifles. Families filled clay pots with hidden gunpowder. Village blacksmiths forged spears disguised as farming tools. Dominican women wrote patriotic letters encouraging soldiers. Elderly independence veterans retold stories of 1844 to inspire children. Meanwhile, Haitians under Soulouque built alliances with African religious networks and invoked spiritual symbols to justify war. Soulouque turned to Vodou mysticism for legitimacy, claiming dreams foretold Haitian victory. Haitian warriors believed ancestral spirits supported reclaiming the Eastern Territory. This deepened the cultural divide. Dominicans, strongly Catholic and deeply influenced by Spanish-era religious authority, interpreted Haitian Vodou as frightening and foreign, fueling xenophobic stereotypes that still echo today. By 1850, Soulouque publicly stated he would destroy the Dominican Republic within years. Haiti's imperial army grew significantly, prepared to launch the largest invasion since the Haitian Revolution. Dominican citizens heard rumors daily and lived in dread, yet pride remained unbroken. Dominican identity had matured through adversity. It would not collapse under emotional pressure. The island now resembled two historical trains speeding toward collision. Haiti, militarizing under imperial ideology. The Dominican Republic, defending with nationalism and survival instinct. The war that soon followed would determine whether Dominican independence survived the decade. In the years 1850 to 1852, the Dominican Republic experienced political, cultural, and psychological transformation more intense than any period since independence. Santana's rule dominated national life, not through ideology, but through necessity. For ordinary citizens, the nation's fate depended on military strength, not academic philosophy. Santana's forces patrolled rural borders constantly, and Dominican society embraced militarization as a way of life. Santana knew Soulouque would invade soon. He initiated nationwide defensive reforms. New stone walls built near border towns, cannon placements around southern ports, cavalry training expanded, conscription laws executed, National Guard units formed in Cibao, emergency granaries stocked, and networks of watchtowers constructed across mountain paths. These defenses turned the island into layers of armed territory. Dominican farmers became soldiers by night. Soldiers became farmers by day. Even churches stored ammunition. Meanwhile, Santana's political power reached its peak. He removed rival leaders, shut down opposition meetings, and appointed loyal governors across provinces. Santana justified authoritarian control by pointing to Haitian threats. If the Republic ever relaxed, Haiti might seize the capital. Citizens, remembering the 22 years of Haitian occupation, tolerated dictatorship rather than risk returning to foreign rule. However, political repression fueled long-term consequences. Dominican intellectual life suffered. People who promoted liberal government risked imprisonment. Duarte's name disappeared from public speeches. Sánchez, though respected, lived under suspicion. Dominican Republican thought, so vibrant in 1844, receded under Santana's shadow. The Republic did not die, but democracy went dormant. Culturally, Dominicans strengthened their sense of nationality without needing state approval. In rural areas, identity expressed through storytelling, traditional music, Catholic ritual, family surnames, frontier cowboy lifestyle, and language slang unique to Dominican Spanish. These traditions helped unify the people even when politics divided them. Dominican peasants created legends portraying Haitian soldiers as monstrous giants to be defeated. These tales, though exaggerated, strengthened morale and created emotional distance from Haitian identity. Meanwhile, Haiti prepared invasion strategy. Soulouque tested loyalty among his generals, executing officers suspected of disloyalty. His imperial court began using European uniforms and aristocratic titles, reflecting a bizarre imitation of European monarchies. Foreign observers mocked Soulouque, but no one underestimated Haitian soldiers. They were battle-hardened veterans of decades of civil conflict. By 1852, Haiti began probing Dominican borders, launching small attacks to test defenses. Skirmishes occurred around San Juan, Barahona, and Manzanillo Bay. Dominican forces repelled most incursions, but casualties mounted. Dominican families lost fathers, sons, and brothers. Women buried husbands without coffins, wrapping bodies in cloth made from cotton sacks. Haitian newspapers reported these border attacks as victories, claiming Dominican retreat. Dominican newspapers reported them as heroic repulses. Each side shaped narrative to maintain morale. International diplomacy became increasingly tense. Britain and France observed with caution. Neither wanted Hispaniola to collapse into European war. Spanish diplomats whispered to Dominican leaders, "Return to empire, and Spain will protect you." Dominican elites debated deeply. Santana secretly negotiated with Spanish agents, considering annexation as defense against Haiti. These secret negotiations laid the groundwork for the controversial event that would later define Dominican history, the 1861 reannexation to Spain. But at this moment, Dominican independence still stood firm. Soulouque had not yet launched his full invasion. Dominican soldiers, though outnumbered and under-equipped, stood ready. Santana carve his legacy not through words, but through preparation. As 1852 closed, the island stood on the edge of a decade-long war that would test whether Dominican independence would survive or collapse under Haitian imperial ambition. By 1853, the Dominican Republic lived beneath the constant shadow of invasion. All the political sound, philosophical debates, and domestic quarrels faded beneath the heavier truth. Faustin Soulouque had vowed to retake the Dominican territory, and his military preparation intensified each month. The Haitian Empire's propaganda machine projected one central idea: the East must return to Haitian rule, or Haiti itself would fall apart. Haitian newspapers called for holy war, describing the Dominican Republic as an illegal country created by traitors who betrayed their African blood. Dominican writers responded fiercely, arguing they were Hispanic Caribbean people whose sovereignty could never again fall beneath Haitian authority. These ideological narratives widened the psychological divide between the nations. Haitians believed reclaiming the East was their revolutionary inheritance. Dominicans believed resisting Haiti was their national destiny. The two collective identities were incompatible, both rooted in history, trauma, and fear. In Haiti, Soulouque built a massive army using imperial wealth and extreme taxation. These soldiers drilled daily beneath hot Caribbean sun, learning formation tactics and musket discipline. Haiti lacked industrial weapon factories, yet Soulouque purchased European rifles and hired foreign advisors. He built new cannons and imported black powder from French and British merchants eager for profit. Meanwhile, the Dominican Republic attempted to reshape its own military structure. Santana remained the dominant force in national defense, overseeing brigades across Cibao, the South, and Central Highlands. However, Dominican forces faced heavy limitations. Many soldiers fought barefoot, armed with refurbished charcoal muskets or machetes. Powder shortages persisted. Dominican cannons required constant maintenance and were far fewer than Haiti's. The Republic relied heavily on horseback cavalry and guerrilla strategy to counter Haiti's numbers. Dominican civilians understood they were living through history. Parents taught their children how to take cover during cannon fire. Churches prepared basements to treat wounded soldiers. Families stored dried meat, salt, tortillas, cassava, and tobacco to survive siege conditions. Many believed Haiti would one day march all the way into Santo Domingo again, repeating the ghosts of 1822. Yet those same families prayed nightly that Dominican identity would resist foreign domination forever. Throughout 1853, Haitian border probing continued. Haitian raiding parties burned crops, stole cattle, and ambushed isolated Dominican patrols. Dominican scouts retaliated with hit-and-run attacks, slicing enemy communications. These skirmishes kept the island in constant tension without producing full invasion. Haiti continued to wait for perfect timing. When weapon stockpiles reached enough strength and internal stability solidified. Diplomatically, the Dominican Republic struggled. European nations hesitated to recognize Dominican independence, fearing Haiti's anger and doubting the Republic's longevity. Spain, though not yet ready to reclaim the territory, quietly encouraged Dominican elites to remain militarized and avoid foreign alliances. France communicated cautiously, attempting to avoid war escalation. Britain offered unofficial trade, but remained detached politically. The United States, though increasingly interested in Caribbean politics, was consumed by internal issues leading toward its own civil war. Thus, Dominican independence stood alone upon a mountain of uncertainty, defended primarily by its own people. Inside the Dominican Republic, social transformation continued. Free rural land access expanded settlement into mountain zones, promoting independent farming communities whose success strengthened the national economy. Cattle trade slowly improved, allowing the government to buy powder from Puerto Rican smugglers. Dominican newspapers published poetry that glorified national resistance. The people clung to identity with fierce pride. By 1854, Haiti's preparations neared completion. Soulouque believed the time was right. He assembled thousands of infantry, artillerymen, and cavalry. Reports estimated Haitian force numbers between 15,000 and 30,000, uncertain, yet undeniably massive compared to Dominican manpower. Dominican scouts returned with terrifying stories of troop formations massing near the border, flags flying beneath imperial banners. Haiti intended to erase the Dominican Republic completely. Dominicans knew their only hope was terrain, morale, and divine providence. Haiti possessed numbers. The Dominican Republic possessed reasons to fight, to protect families, religion, land, and culture. Santana announced that every Dominican must arm themselves with anything, even stones if necessary. For the first time, elderly men and teenage boys joined militia training. Dominican society transformed into a civilian army. As 1855 approached, the island braced for catastrophe. Soulouque marched toward the eastern frontier, and war seemed imminent. The question was no longer whether Haiti would attack, but whether the Dominican Republic could survive the greatest test in its existence thus far. In 1855, Soulouque launched one of the most unforgettable and violent military campaigns in Caribbean history, a full-scale invasion of the Dominican Republic. Haitian troops crossed through border routes leading toward the southern Dominican provinces, determined to crush resistance swiftly and decisively. Rural Dominican resistance would become decisive in future battles. Despite heroic organization, another danger began brewing beneath the surface. The junta's distrust of Duarte grew intensely. Conservative elites feared Duarte's popularity would overshadow their authority if he returned from exile. They secretly plotted to prevent Duarte from assuming leadership once he re-entered Dominican territory. This conspiracy would shape the Republic's early power struggles and create bitter consequences later. Meanwhile, Haiti accelerated its war plans. Hérard, determined to crush Dominican independence before it gained international recognition, prepared an invasion route through Azua in the south. He believed a powerful southern attack would break Dominican morale and allow Haitian soldiers to march straight to Santo Domingo. Dominicans braced for war. Independence was no longer theoretical. Blood would soon be spilled. The months between March and July 1844 were defined by violent border clashes, political maneuvering, and the first military victories that convinced Dominicans that independence might genuinely survive. Haiti launched multiple offensives, determined to reclaim the East before rebellion hardened into permanent nationhood. The first major Haitian attempt to retake Dominican territory occurred in March 1844, targeting Azua. Hérard gathered a large Haitian force, estimated between 10 and 15,000 soldiers, and marched them toward Dominican defenses. Dominican commander Pedro Santana, a rancher from El Ceibo who transformed into a military leader, prepared his men to face Haiti's assault. Santana was unlike Duarte or Sánchez. He lacked academic background, but possessed an unmatched instinct for survival, leadership, and battlefield calculation. When Haitian forces arrived near Azua on March 19, 1844, they expected a swift victory. Haitian officers believed Dominicans would break at the first sound of artillery. Instead, they found a determined defense. Dominican fighters hid in trenches constructed from dried cactus walls. They used shotguns, rifles, and even sharpened spears. Santana organized cavalry charges using local horsemen familiar with the terrain, and every Dominican bullet carried symbolic weight. They fought not only for territory, but identity. The battle lasted hours. Haitian cannon fire shook the earth. Dominican sharpshooters fired from hills. Smoke filled the air. Horses screamed. Men fell, and chaos raged under the Caribbean sun. But the Dominican line did not break. By afternoon, Haitian troops retreated. The Battle of Azua became the Dominican Republic's first major victory, a psychological turning point that shocked both sides of the island. Haiti realized independence was not an accident. Dominicans would fight fiercely. Dominicans realized Haiti was not invincible. Their homeland could be defended. As news spread, bells rang across Santo Domingo. When farmers heard reports of Haitian defeat, they celebrated wildly. Mothers wept with relief. Priests called it divine approval of the Republic. Soldiers marched singing national songs. But the war was far from over. Haiti launched another offensive in Santiago in the northern region. Dominican patriot Jose Maria MR.HORRIBLE led resistance, defending the Cibao Valley with a mixture of local strategy and civic pride. Haitian forces were defeated again at the Battle of Santiago on March 30th, 1844. These two victories changed everything. MR.HORRIBLE. Recruitment skyrocketed. Haitian psychological dominance expired. Haiti's failure to capture Dominican towns undermined Herard's credibility at home. Haitian peasants, starving and angry, saw defeat as proof that God no longer favored the occupation. Political uprisings exploded inside Haiti. Herard lost the confidence of his allies. His government destabilized rapidly, worsening Haiti's internal conflict. Meanwhile, Dominican society experienced intense transformation. Volunteers flooded into military camps. The Republic formed cavalry units, artillery teams, and improvised Navy patrols to protect coastal approaches. Dominican officers developed regional command structures. Santana controlled the south, MR.HORRIBLE the north. Sánchez and Mella protected the capital. Still, political divisions did not disappear. Conservative elites used victories to strengthen their own power, arguing that leadership must shift away from intellectuals to military strongmen like Santana. They claimed Duarte's democratic ideals were unrealistic during war. This internal struggle would define Dominican politics for decades. The Republic began not as a peaceful democracy, but as a fractured state forged under fire, where figures like Santana and Duarte represented two competing visions for the nation: a military, hierarchical Dominican Republic versus a democratic, inclusive Dominican Republic. But despite disagreements, one truth united the people. Independence survived the first wave of Haitian invasion, something many had believed impossible. After the stunning Dominican victories of Azua and Santiago in March 1844, confidence surged throughout the new republic. Ordinary civilians who once doubted survival now spoke about independence with certainty. Dominican children played games imitating soldiers. Women embroidered flags with patriotic symbols. Priests blessed fighters before they marched to distant battle lines. Yet triumph did not produce unity. In fact, victory intensified the most dangerous internal struggle of the early Dominican state: the ideological war between Duarte's Republican vision and the conservative, militarized, elite-controlled governance represented by Pedro Santana and Tomás Bobadilla. With Haiti temporarily pushed back, the question emerged: who would direct the political future of the Republic? Duarte, still in exile, symbolized democratic inclusiveness, merit over class, and racial unity. Santana, meanwhile, symbolized order, militarization, and elite hierarchy. Both approaches had strong followings, and tensions between these worldviews shaped the months following independence. As word reached Venezuela that Dominican militias had defeated Haitian forces in heroic combat, Duarte prepared to return to his homeland. His exile, forced by Haitian persecution, had been painful. Duarte worried the Republic might lose its soul under elites who valued power more than equality. Letters between Duarte and Sánchez showed deep concern. Duarte believed independence without democracy would betray the nation's purpose. Dominican freedom could not simply replace Haitian rule with a Dominican oligarchy. In June 1844, Duarte secured a ship bound for Santo Domingo. His return journey symbolized more than a physical voyage. It represented the intellectual spirit of Dominican nationhood returning to the land. His arrival triggered emotional celebration. Crowds welcomed him with cheers. Musicians played patriotic songs, and former students greeted their teacher like a savior. News of his return spread across towns by horseback, and many believed the Republic had finally acquired the leader it needed. But Duarte returned to a nation already politically divided. The Junta Central Gubernativa, controlled by Bobadilla and conservatives, viewed Duarte as a threat. While the public adored him, the ruling elite feared he would dismantle their influence and promote reforms they considered dangerous: land redistribution, racial equality, and civic representation. Bobadilla and Santana worked together not to celebrate Duarte, but to neutralize him. Spanish soldiers inside the capital became prisoners of geography, surrounded by walls they once built to protect Spanish rule. Dominican rebels cut water lines, ambushed caravans, and blocked seaports. For Dominicans, the emotional meaning of this moment was enormous. The same walls that witnessed Haitian occupation, independence proclamation, Spanish annexation, and rebellion now prepared to witness restoration of the nation. Dominican fighters walked through streets once patrolled by Spanish soldiers holding their heads high. On March 3, 1865, Spain officially declared the annexation of Santo Domingo terminated. The Spanish government announced withdrawal publicly, acknowledging defeat. Spanish ships began transporting soldiers back to Cuba. Dominican rebels marched into liberated towns, waving the Dominican flag. Bells rang across the countryside. Fireworks burst over Cibao skies. The Dominican Republic, after nearly 4 years of rebellion against Spain and 2 decades of war against Haiti, was independent again. Haiti responded with diplomatic respect. President Gerard sent messages congratulating Dominicans on restoration and formally recognized Dominican independence. In doing so, Haiti closed a chapter of territorial ambition and opened a chapter of coexistence. Haiti and the Dominican Republic were now 2 separate nations permanently. Haitian-Dominican relations did not suddenly transform into friendship or trust, but the structure of war ended. Neither side possessed desire or ability to conquer the other anymore. Haiti focused on education, reform, and internal rebuilding, while the Dominican Republic focused on post-war reconstruction and political stability. Dominican patriots mourned their dead. Thousands had died fighting both Haiti and Spain. Yet they celebrated a deeper victory. Sovereignty won not once, but twice. The Dominican people proved that independence was not accidental. It was a permanent identity.